Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Caitanya Charitamrita. In today's episode, we will continue with the 13th chapter of the Ādi the Advent of Lord Chaitanya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we will be continuing the 13th chapter of the Ādi of Caitanya Charitamrita, verse 51 onwards. We actually finished at 51 in the last session, but we will start again at 51 because it's kind of like an introduction. आदि लीला सूत्र लिखी सुनो भक्तगण, संक्षेपे लिखिए सम्यक ना जाए लेखन. My dear devotees of Lord Chaitanya, let me now write a synopsis of the Ādi Leela. I write of these pastimes in brief because it is not possible to describe them in full. Sankshepa. Sankshepe in brief. Sorry. Text 52. Kono vancha puran lagi Vrajendra Kumar, avatirna hoite mane korila vichar. To fulfill a particular desire within his mind, Lord Krishna, Vrajendra Kumar, decided to descend to this planet after mature contemplation. आगे अवतारी ला जय जय गुरु परिवार संक्षेपे कहिया कहा ना जाए विस्तार. Lord Krishna therefore first allowed his family of superiors to descend to the earth. I shall try to describe them in brief because it is not possible to describe them fully. Now, this is actually kind of carrying forward from what we have spoken in the morning in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. If you do not know, there was a morning class Bhagavatam I was asked to give, and I was asked to take. Sorry. So we delivered the lecture. So in that I was explaining about this Gotra Dharma, and on which I'm writing an article currently. Um, so we talked about the Gurukula. What is Gurukula? That was the whole topic of today's morning's class. And Gurukul, usually people we understand as the brahmacharis, they stay in the Gurukula. It's like a school and all. But actually, it's much, much more than that, much deeper than that. Gurukula. Kula means family, Guru means the spiritual master. So, Gurukula means the family of the spiritual master or the house of the spiritual master. So, Brahmachari Gurukule, that means he stays in the house of the spiritual master as one of his family members. And as disciples, we're also part of the family of the spiritual master, Acharya Santan. All this we have covered in the morning. If you have not attended, I would suggest you go back and watch. And I'll be covering that also in the article that I'm drafting right now, which may be out soon. So, so this is very important to understand. Now, another aspect of Gotra Dharma, I have mentioned in the morning that the real essence of Gotra or Vamsha or Parivar, Santana, Parampara, Sampradaya, Kula, Jati, Varna, all these words, they usually are understood in terms of seminal lineage or seminal dynasties or something like that. But actually, the real connecting factor, especially in human life, in animal life, yes, only sex matters. Like even in dogs, we have breeds. What is it? Alsatian and you know Doberman, German Shepherd. So many breeds are there. Sometimes there are interbreeding. So that is sexual breeding, sexual understanding of or seminal understanding of the parampara, pedigree. Now, in human parampara or dynasties or vamsha, we are not only to consider the sexual or seminal descent, but more importantly than anything else, the disciplic succession, master to disciple, from master to disciple. And what is the subject matter of such instructions? That is Krishna consciousness. Now, we have an example of this in the Bhagavad Gita. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavana hamavyayam vivasvan manave praham manurikshvakave bravit. Fourth chapter, first verse. What is the topic here? Vivasvan is the sun god, Surya Bhagavan we say. He spoke to his son Ikshvaku, Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. Now, that is the disciplic succession, and then eventually Krishna says, Sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduham. So, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way, but in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Now, although Vivasvan, Manu, and Ikshvaku were in the same family, they are of family descent, seminal descent, but they are quoted here in Bhagavad Gita because of their disciplic descent. Not so much because they are of seminal descent. Because if you see in this verse, three times the word spoken is used. Proktavan, praha, abravit. You see what is Proktavan? Instructed. Praha, told. Abravit, said. So the word spoken is three times stressed in this verse, one verse. So the focus is on the transference of knowledge, not just seminal descent. And in human society, आहार निद्रा भयमैथुनं च सामान्यमेतत् पशुभिर्नराणां धर्मो हि तेषाम् अधिको विशेषो धर्मेण हीन पशुभिः समाना. So without dharma, dharma is the only thing that distinguishes us from the animals. Otherwise, our domain of activities with the animals are the same. because ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithuna, eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, are common amongst humans and animals. But the one thing that distinguishes us from the animals is dharma. So, in our pedigree or in our lineage, if the concept of dharma is not included, and if we only consider seminal descent to be the most important aspect of inheritance of or anything like that, then we are making a big mistake. Then we are actually treating ourselves like animals. Now, this Brahmana by birthright and all this is actually animalistic viewpoint. Just as we study dogs according to their birth, because nothing. I mean, there's no reformation for dogs. So, so this is the actual thing that we have to be concerned about. Now, apart from this, there is a reason why Krishna. You see here in today's verse, Lord Krishna therefore first allowed his family of superiors to descend to the earth. I shall try to describe them in brief because it is not possible to describe them fully. Now Krishna said Sakala Neha Mahata. The disciplic succession is, handed down, the knowledge is handed down through disciplic succession, and in due course of time, the succession is broken and the science is lost. That's the disciplic succession. But Gotra, Kutumba, Jati, Kula, all these are also referred to the family. These words are used for family also. So even those Krishna wants to purify. Because if there are family traditions that have changed over time, for example, I'll give an example. When devotees join this movement, especially as brahmacharis or sometimes even as householders, they get a lot of resistance from the family. Oh, you are, leaving the family, leaving our family traditions, we are worshipping this demigod, now you're leaving it. Um, so things like that are sometimes said. And, oh, you're, you know, going into a different line, or something like that. But, so the devotees who have taken up Krishna consciousness seriously, they are accused of breaking the family tradition. Oh, you are, you know, maybe Shaivites, for example, family may be worshipping Lord Shiva. Then he becomes a Vaishnava and he becomes worshipper of Krishna. Then oh, you are breaking our family tradition. We are supposed to be worshippers of Shiva, and now we are worshipping Vishnu or Krishna, like that, or Durga, something like that. You know, oh, we are Durga worshippers, now we are worshipping Krishna, so on and so forth. So the devotees are accused of breaking the family tradition. But what actually happened is, over time, over many generations, the family tradition is already broken. We all belong to what family? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija pradah pita. I am the father of everyone. And therefore, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means the entire world as one family. Under what basis? On what basis? Because Krishna is our father. So actually, we all belong to that family. We have become a traitor, we have now become something else. So we have broken away from the actual tradition, and now this has become the established tradition. The changed version or the distorted version is now the tradition. And if somebody breaks that and goes back to the original one, now he is accused of breaking the tradition. But actually, the tradition was already broken. Now we are actually fixing it. So they don't understand this. So when Krishna comes in a dynasty, or when he sends his devotees into, you know, like before Krishna came, he first allowed his family of superiors to come. What he's essentially doing, he is actually purifying the families in which the devotees are born. And actually, there is a nice reference to this in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Now, I was reading the other day. Mm, how to find this now? A detailed explanation of this. How to find? Actually, there is a Vrindavan Das Thakur explains this very nicely. He says that in order to purify contaminated families, Krishna puts pure devotees in their families. So the question was that why do sometimes pure devotees take birth in fallen families? So the explanation for that is that yes, usually Bhagavad Gita says um, those who are exalted in their yoga practice they take birth in aristocratic families, but sometimes it is found that devotees take birth in contaminated families. And why is that so? So Krishna, out of his compassion for the fallen souls, and of course he's seeing some qualification, by his arrangement, he makes pure devotees take birth in contaminated families so that such families can be purified. And their tradition, what is the purification of a family? The traditions of the family become purified, and then hopefully down the line, just like in the disciplic succession, there is the descent, disciplic descent. Then there is also seminal descent. So the idea is, even by seminal descent, they may be purified. For example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was born not in a Vaishnava family, but in quite a you know um, influential family in social terms, but not in a Vaishnava family. But then he became Vaishnava, and his children are all Vaishnavas. His wife is Vaishnava, and of course we have Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who's the world Acharya. I mean, so the purification of the dynasty happened just because of the presence of such a pure devotee. Hmm. And I really hope I can do justice to this. I was reading this, like, I don't know where I was reading. Ah, on the order of the Lord, I'm reading from the second chapter of the Ādi of Chaitanya Bhagavat. All of his associates took birth in human society. Yeah? Ananta, Shiva, Brahma, various sages and associates of all the Lord's previous incarnations all took birth as great devotees. Yeah? You see, this is only Gaura Krishna knew which associate took birth as which devotee. Some took birth in Navadvip, some in Chattagram, some in Radhadesh, some in Orissa, some in Srihatta, and some in the west. Although the devotees appear in different places, they all gathered in Navadvip. Most of the Vaishnavas took birth in Navadvip, and some beloved associates appeared elsewhere. They, along with Murari Gupta, who cures the living entities of the material disease, all took birth in Srihatta. Yeah? Pundari Vidyanidhi, the topmost Vaishnava, Chaitanya Vallabh. Haridas Thakur is a good example, right? He took birth in a Mohammedan family. So there is an example of a great devotee who was born in a not so aristocratic family. I'll just bear with me here a little while. The banks of the Ganga are most sanctified. Why then would a Vaishnava take birth at an impious place? This is the point. Okay, this is the point I was trying to make. Why then would a Vaishnava take birth at an impious place? The Lord appeared on the bank of the Ganga, so why did his associates appear in distant places? Commentary. I think this commentary is based on the Acharya's commentaries. The term Shocha Desh or impious places is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.21.8 as follows. Among places, those bereft of the spotted antelope, those devoid of devotion to the Brahmanas, those possessing spotted antelopes, but bereft of respectable men, provinces like Kikata, and places where cleanliness and purificatory rites are neglected, where meat eaters are prominent, or where the earth is barren, are all considered to be contaminated lands. In Manusamhita or Manusmriti 223, it is stated places devoid of sacrificial performances and naturally grazing spotted antelopes are known as Mlecha Deshas or impious lands. The Ganga, which emanates from the lotus feet of Vishnu and which is the best of the seven sacred rivers, is glorified by the Puranas as possessing the topmost potency for purification. That is why she has a special position among devotees. Okay, this is okay. Since many of Lord Chaitanya's associates appear outside of Gaudadesh, many questions may arise in the hearts of materialistic people. If Vaishnavas appear in a place that is so contaminated that the visitor requires atonement, a place that hinders one's purification, then people will consider these pure Vaishnavas as materially contaminated and forced to enjoy the fruits of pious and impious activities. Therefore, the question arises why did the pious Vaishnavas take birth in places not visited by the Pandavas or touched by the Ganga instead of appearing on the banks of the Ganga? One may also question why Sri Chaitanya Dev personally appeared in the highest Brahmana family of Navadvip, which is situated on the banks of the supremely pure Ganga, yet he had his associates appear in places far from the Ganga in families other than Brahmanas. In answer to these questions, it may be said that pure Vaishnavas appear in such places and in such families in order to purify those places and families. This will be explained by the author in verses 46 through 52. Now, let's see 46 and 47 now. Here it starts. Out of compassion, Lord Krishna ordered his great devotees to appear in places where the Ganga does not flow, where the holy names are not chanted, and where the Pandavas did not visit. So, for an elaboration of the meaning of this verse, one can refer to the following verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 7, 10, 18, and 19, and 1, 1, 15. So, this is 7, 10, 18 is when Narsimadev says that just by you, Prahlad, taking birth in this family, 21 generations are purified. So, that is how Krishna purifies even the families. You see? And next. Sri Chaitanya descended to deliver the entire universe. He has confirmed this with his own words. The Lord had his devotees who are equal to him appear at impious places and in impious families in order to deliver everyone. The term Sochakule is explained as follows. Pious people are not affected by low birth because they are born in pure Brahmana families. Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and Antyajas are progressively more impious. Fruitive workers are born in impious families due to their sinful activities, but Vaishnavas who are engaged in the service of Lord Vishnu are as good as Vishnu. They are able to purify all sorts of impious countries and families. In the Shastras also it is said, in the Shastras it is also said, stated, Kulam pavitram janani kritartha vasundhara vasatishcha dhanya nrityanti swarge pitaro pitesham yesham kule vaishnava namadheyam. In whatever family a Vaishnava appears, his family, mother, birthplace, and residence become purified, and his forefathers dance in the heavens. The words Apana Saman indicate that Vaishnavas are the spiritual masters of the entire world and inconceivably one with and different from Lord Krishna. They represent the absolute truth and they personify the syllable Omkara. Through the Vaishnavas, Sri Krishna delivers the conditioned souls whose aversion to Hari is born from accepting materialistic varnashram and caste consciousness. See, this is the important point. Through the Vaishnavas, Sri Krishna delivers the conditioned souls whose aversion to Hari is born from accepting materialistic varnashram and caste consciousness. That is why the Vaishnava Shastras, Haribhakti Vilas, loudly declare, अवैष्णवोपदिष्टेन मन्त्रेण निरयं व्रजेत् पुनश्च विधिना सम्यक् ग्राहयेद् वैष्णवात् गुरोः. One who receives a mantra from a guru who is a non-devotee or who is addicted to sense enjoyment is doomed to a life in hell. Such a person must immediately approach a genuine Vaishnava guru and again accept the mantra from him. So, since these contaminated family traditions are being passed down, Krishna wants to purify all of that so that apart from his disciplic succession, even the seminal successions become purified. So, that is the whole. So, when Krishna says, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, to re-establish religious principles, he does this on multiple fronts. Not just, oh, he has come and set everything right and went back and everything is back in chaos. No, that's not. And the Lord does not only arrange for his devotees to come before him, but even after his departure, he sends devotees to make sure the system that he set up will continue. Because after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disappearance, Gaudiya Vaishnavism went into the dark ages. And then later on, of course, there were pure devotees, but especially when Bhaktivinoda Thakur came about. Of course, even Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Baladev Vidyabhushan revived the faith in Gaudiya Vaishnavism when he presented the Govinda Bhashya of the Vedanta Sutra in the assembly of Vaishnavas. That was a momentous occasion. And later on, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, he revolutionized the preaching scene again. He again revived the glory of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spread it all over India in an organized manner, and Srila Prabhupada took it all over the world. So, Krishna is arranging for his associates to come before him during his presence and after his departure as well. And is not only bringing about the disciplic descent, but also the seminal descent, purifying families by making his devotees appear in them and he himself appearing in families and then glorifying. Of course, he comes in families of his devotees. But his devotees take birth in which families? The families were contaminated before that, right? So when the devotee comes, he will become purified. So purified that the Lord himself comes in such dynasties. In this way, the only purifying factor, apavitraha pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sa bahyabhyantara shuchihi. How can anything be purified, inside or outside? By the remembrance of the Lord. So, for another example, okay, let me finish that. So, by remembering the Lord, the dynasties become purified. For example, in Narsimhadev's Leela, Narsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu. And what does he do after that? He sits on the throne of Hiranyakashipu. Usually, when we offer to the Lord, we have to offer new things which we have never used. And what to speak of something which was used by a demon? The Lord was sitting on that. So, why? Because the Lord purifies. That's not the proper way to offer to the Lord. But the Lord does it to purify. So when the Lord comes, everything becomes purified. Even the demon who is killed at the hands of the Lord is purified. You see? So this is very important to understand. So through the family, through his disciples and devotees, he purifies the whole world. And then he of course does so many superhuman or wonderful activities, which will of course purify those who have seen them, but also he makes arrangement for them to be written by devotees, either Vyasadeva or here in this case Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami or Vrindavan Das Thakur. He arranges for these pastimes to be written so that people in the future can be purified by remembering the pastimes, ever victorious pastimes of the Lord. So in this way, and then he of course sends acharyas who um, preach on the basis of these books. And in this way, the whole world is purified by the appearance of the Lord. So in this way, we have to understand things. So continuing on, One who receives a mantra from a guru who is a non-devotee and who is addicted to sense enjoyment is doomed to a life in hell. If such a person must immediately approach a genuine Vaishnava guru and again accept the mantra from him. Other than pure Vaishnavas, no one can properly act as an acharya. Anyone other than a pure Vaishnava is a conditioned soul who suffers the results of his karma. But Vaishnavas are transcendental worshippers of Vishnu and have conquered the illusory energy. Therefore, they are as good as the Lord Vishnu. As good as Lord Vishnu. They are liberated souls situated in pure goodness beyond the three modes of material nature. They are eternal associates of Lord Vishnu and capable of protecting the conditioned souls from the covering and throwing potencies of Maya by their instructions on sadhana bhakti. People other than Vaishnavas reject the service of Vishnu and serve Maya, thus accepting temporary material objects as the controller. Eventually, they accept the doctrine of impersonalism and fall in the path of atheism or godlessness. In this way, they lose all inclination for serving Krishna. Now, in whatever place or family a Vaishnava appears, people for hundreds of thousands of miles around are all delivered. You see, not only the family in which they appear is delivered, but also the area in which they appear is also delivered. And for how much area? Hundreds of thousands of miles around are all delivered. Wherever the Vaishnavas go, that place becomes a sanctified place of pilgrimage. Jai sthane Vaishnava gana karen vijay. Shai sthane hoy atipunya tirthamoy. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani. Hmm. Um, what is that? सुकर्मे कुर्वन्ति कर्माणि सच्छास्त्रं कुर्वन्ति शास्त्राणि. So this is in the Narada Bhakti Sutra. You see, out of humility, the great devotees or swan-like Vaishnavas consider themselves impure. They play the role of visiting holy places to purify themselves just to deceive the materialists. You see this? They play the role of visiting holy places to purify themselves just to deceive the materialists, while in fact they purify even the holy places. Ordinary places become sanctified by the presence of Vaishnavas. In this regard, Maharaj Yudhishthira said to Vidura in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhavadvidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhutah Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Swantah Sthena Gadabhrita. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places of pilgrimage personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. When the materialistic enjoying mentality is absent in a conditioned soul, he becomes a sadhu. Places inhabited by Vaishnavas are better than ordinary holy places. You see? Places inhabited by Vaishnavas are better than ordinary holy places. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya had his devotees appear in all different countries. See? So, in this way, there is nice explanation here. Let's go to that Narada Bhakti Sutra as well. तीर्थि कुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि सुकर्मे कुर्वन्ति कर्माणि सच्छास्त्री कुर्वन्ति शास्त्राणि. Narada Muni is saying their association, I mean the association of pure devotees, see, the Lord's intimate servants, purify their own followers and the whole world. I think let's read this one as well. Among Bhakta Ekantino Mukhyaha. Among the Lord's devotees, the greatest are those who are dedicated to Him solely as His intimate servants. कंठावरोध रोमाश्रुभिः परस्परं लपमानाः पावयन्ति कुलानि पृथिवीं च. कुलानि पावयन्ति कुलानि पृथिवीं च. Kula means family, communities, dynasties. Prithivim cha, earth as well. Conversing among one another with throats choked, hair standing on end, and tears flowing, the Lord's intimate servants purify their own followers and the whole world. And their own followers means their own followers, their family. Kulani means pavayanti kulani cha, prithivim cha. So purify their own families, communities, followers, whoever. By how do they do that? By conversing the topics of Krishna. That's why Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. This is very important. The most purifying aspect. So when one is in a family, Suppose one is born in a Vaishnava family. Why is it such a purifying birth? Because in family people talk, right? In family we don't sit around silently, doing nothing. We talk. And what will be the talks of Vaishnavas about Krishna? If they're of course strong Vaishnavas, not like nowadays sometimes devotees not so serious. They think they're as good as Bhaktivinoda Thakur when their family life is nothing related to devotional life sometimes. Most of the time in fact. So not like this. So when the conversations are centered on Krishna, that will purify everything. And therefore such dynasties actually become purified by this devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting. And of course, next, Tirthi kurvanti tirthane, sukarmi kurvanti karmani, such shastri kurvanti shastrani. Their association makes holy places holy, their association makes works auspicious, and their association makes the scriptures authoritative. Now you may say, how come scriptures become authoritative by their association? It means without their association, scriptures have no authority. Well, they have, but they do not exert such authority as strongly as they do in the company of devotees. For example, Bhagavad Gita is the supreme authority. Now, Bhagavad Gita is known to many people all over the world, even before Srila Prabhupada. But how many people actually understood the essence and actually surrendered? And when Prabhupada went and presented Bhagavad Gita as it is, then people woke up to spiritual consciousness. So the authority of Bhagavad Gita comes with the association of the devotee. Without the association, Bhagavad Gita won't have the same effect on the reader. Only when it is commented upon by a pure devotee, then yes. So they make the scriptures authoritative. The faith in scriptures. How Srila Prabhupada presented the scriptures, it increases our faith in the scriptures. Otherwise, I was thinking at least, even though I was born in so-called Brahmin family, I was thinking our scriptures are just like some superstitious. That's the majority understanding. I mean, majority of people understand scriptures like that. Oh, it's like old people, in a primitive way they try to, have some kind of culture, some kind of, some traditions, superstitions. That is the understanding of religion without the guidance of a pure devotee. And when you have the guidance of a pure devotee, then we will understand that religion is the most scientific way of life. Everything else is utter crap. That we will realize from the association of a pure devotee. So now, in this purport, is very nicely explained. Not Prabhupada's purport, but the point is made here. A tirtha is a place made sacred because the Supreme Lord performed his pastimes there. So many tirthas are mentioned here. Devotees like to reside in tirthas and perform their bhajan there, and pilgrims seeking purification go to bathe in the sacred rivers flowing through the sacred sites. But the tirthas become burdened by the sins of visiting pilgrims who sometimes commit new sins even while traveling on pilgrimage. In all the religions of the world, commercialism tends to spring up and pollute the famous shrines. Because of this, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya Narottam Das Thakur stated that in the Kali Yuga, going on pilgrimage creates bewilderment. Actually, the exact words were Tirthayatra Parishram Keval Maner Brahma. Narottam Das Thakur said. Traveling to the holy places of pilgrimage is just another kind of bewilderment or mental satisfaction only. Why is that said? Because, of course, one has to go. But if you miss the point, and suppose there is association of devotees available near our place, and we don't take advantage of that and go to some distant place of pilgrimage, that is actually not a proper understanding of what a pilgrimage actually is. A pilgrimage is a place where Vaishnavas reside. That's why it is said just now. A place where Vaishnavas reside is more important than our ordinary place of pilgrimage. So, okay, this is to purify the tirthas of the influence of the non-devotees, saints occasionally visit them. In fact, it is the presence of the saints that actually makes the holy places holy. If one visits a tirtha and only does some shopping and takes a ritual bath there without inquiring from saintly persons, this visit is useless. See this? When the sage is such, that's why we have to go with devotees and hear about the pastimes of the Lord while we are in Tirtha also. When the sage Vidura went to the palace of the Kurus in Hastinapur, Justin Maharaj praised him with the same words Narada uses here. Tirthi kurvanti tirthani. Okay? Yes, this is Bhagirath 996. Actually, here Ganga asks Bhagirath, you see, Bhagirath, he invited Ganga to come down and therefore she came down. That's why she is called Bhagirathi. Now, thereafter, Mother Ganga appeared before King Bhagirath, the personality of Ganga, and said, I am very much satisfied with your austerities and am now prepared to give you benedictions as you desire. Being thus addressed by Ganga Devi, Mother Ganga, the king bowed his head before her and explained his desire. Mother Ganga replied, when I fall from the sky to the surface of the planet Earth, the water will certainly be very forceful. Who will sustain that force? If I am not sustained, I shall pierce the surface of the earth and go down to the Rasatal, the Patal area of the universe. That's the force of Ganga actually. That's why Lord Shiva took the Ganga on his head. Ganga tarangaramaniya jatakalapam Gauri nirantara vibhushita vamabhagam Narayana priyamananga madapaharam Varanasi purapatim Bhaja Vishwanatham. So this is Vishwanath Ashtakam written by Shankaracharya. First verse goes like this. So Ganga Taranga Ramaniya Jatakalapam. So he has Ganga on his head, on his matted hair. So that is not that it is a fountain, like in serials, we will see that some fountain is, falling from the head of Lord. No, it is not that his head is full of water and then, water is coming out like a fountain. No, he is actually taking the force of the Ganga and Ganga is bouncing off his head. If the Ganga was not stopped by by the head of Lord Shiva, she would just pierce the earth and go down all the way. So such forceful water. Then she asks, Kim chaham na bhuvam yasye nara mayamrjantyagam mrijami tadagham kvaham rajam statra vichintyatam. O king, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth, for there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. So, then Bhagirath Uvacha Sadhavonyasinah Shanta Brahmishtha Lokapavanaha Harantyagam Tengasanga Teshvasthehya Gabhidharihi. Bhagirath said, those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can vanquish all sinful reactions. So the pure devotees go to the holy places as if, in a humble way that they are also wanting to get purified in the waters of the Ganga and similar such rituals. But actually, the pure devotees are going there to purify those places. Only a devotee can understand this. Ordinary people, they get bewildered. Oh, another sadhu is coming to purify himself. No, especially pure devotees, they don't purify the holy place. They're not purified by the holy place. They purify the holy places. So going back, so yeah, we were here. So Lord Krishna therefore first allowed his family of superiors to descend to the earth. I shall try to describe them in brief because it is not possible to describe them fully. Shri Shachi Jagannath Shri Madhav Puri Keshav Bharatiyar Shri Ishwar Puri Advaita Acharyar Pandit Shrivas Acharya Ratna Vidyanidhi Thakur Haridas. Lord Sri Krishna, before appearing as Lord Chaitanya, requested these devotees to precede him. Sri Sachi Devi, Jagannath Mishra, Madhavendra Puri, Keshav Bharati, Ishwar Puri, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit, Acharya Ratna, Vidyanidhi, and Thakur Haridas. Shri Hatta Nivasi, Shri Upendra Mishra Naam, Vaishnava Pandit Dhani, Sadguna Pradhan. There was also Sri Upendra Mishra, a resident of the district of Srihatta. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, a learned scholar, rich man, a reservoir of all good qualities. Purport. Upendra Mishra is described in the Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 35 as the Gopal named Parjanya. The same personality who was formerly the grandfather of Lord Krishna appeared as Upendra Mishra at Srihatta and begot 7 sons. He was resident of the Dhaka Dakshin Gram in the district of Srihatta. There are still many residents of that part of the country who introduce themselves as belonging to the Mishra family of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Dhaka in Bangladesh. So actually, Bangladesh is a very holy place. Actually, now of course covered by mostly 93%, 94. I think maybe even more now percent of Muslims now. But and I have been to Bangladesh in 2013, 10 years back. It's very depressing. Every few minutes you will see truckloads of cows being transported, and you know for what it is going. They're all being slaughtered. And there are actually many holy places in Bangladesh. It's East Bengal. In fact, it was part of the whole, Gaudadesh. And Pundari Vidyanidhi's place is also in Bangladesh. And apparently, here also, this Upendra Mishra. So that whole thing was one area, very pious. But now it's no more. Of course, we can still go and visit those places. I think they will be maintained maybe, some of the places at least. I know because Prem Vikas Prabhu, he told me that Pundari Vidyanidhi, his place is very nicely maintained. And similar, I think there are also other Vaishnavas places which are maintained nicely. Saptamishratar Putra Sapta Rishishwar Kamsari Paramananda Padmanabha Sarveshwar Jagannath Janardhana Trailokyanath Nadiyate Gangavasa Koilo Jagannath. Upendra Mishra had 7 sons who were all saintly and most influential. Kamsari, Paramananda, Padmanabha, Sarveshwara, Jagannath, Janardhan, Trilokyanath, Jagannath Mishra. Trilokyanath. Jagannath Mishra, the fifth son, decided to reside on the bank of the Ganga at Nadia. Jagannath Mishra, Mishravara, Padavi Purandar, Nanda Vasudeva Rupa, Sadguna Sagar. Jagannath Mishra was designated as Purandar, exactly like Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. He was an ocean of all good qualities. तार पत्नी सचिनाम पतिव्रता सती जार पिता नीलांबर नाम चक्रवर्ती. His wife Srimati Sachi Devi was a chaste woman, highly devoted to her husband. Sachi Devi's father's name was Nilambar and his surname was Chakravarti. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya. In the Gauraganadesh Deepika 104, it is mentioned that Nilambar Chakravarti was formerly Gargamuni. Some of the family descendants of Nilambar Chakravarti still live in the village of the name Magdoba in the district of Faridpur in Bangladesh. His nephew was Jagannath Chakravarti, also known as Mamu Thakur, who became a disciple of Pandit Goswami and stayed at Jagannath Puri as the priest of Tota Gopinath. Nilambar Chakravarti lived at Navadvip in the neighborhood of Belpukuria. This fact is mentioned in the book Prem Vilas. Because he lived near the house of the Qazi was also considered one of the maternal uncles of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Qazi used to address Nilambar Chakravarti as Kaka or uncle. One cannot separate the residence of the Qazi from Vaman Pukur because the tomb of the Qazi is still existing there. Formerly, the place was known as Belpukuriya, and now it is called Vamanpukur. This has been ascertained by archaeological evidence. So you see, this archaeological evidence, I told this many times. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur um, consulted a lot of archaeological evidence and historical and archival maps in order to ascertain the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he interviewed so many people he met. He went on the field and actually, you know, did a lot of research before establishing the Mayapur as the birth site of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew of all that effort that Bhaktivinoda Thakur put, and also the difficulties he went through when there was a lack of proper archaeological and historical evidence, um, and that led to so many confusions. So, in order to clear this up for the future generations, he is writing like this historical, archaeological landmarks and everything, so that it's easier for the future. Because maybe in the future, times won't be as peaceful as now. Maybe there will be, a whole unrest and agitation, and places may be covered again, all these holy places. So, in order to again revive, so this information will help. See, राढ़ देश जन्मिला ठाकुर नित्यानंद गंगा दास पंडित गुप्त मुरारी मुकुंद. In Radhadesh, the part of Bengal where the Ganga is not visible, Nityananda Prabhu, Gangadas Pandit, Murari Gupta, and Mukunda took birth. Here, Radhadeshe refers to the village of the name Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum next to Burdwan. After the Burdwan railway station, there is another branch line which is called the Loop Line of the Eastern Railway, and there is a railway station of the name Mallarpur. 8 miles east of this railway station, Ekachakra village is still situated. Ekchakra village extends north and south of an area of about 8 miles. Other villages, namely Veerchandrapur and Veerbhadrapur, are situated within the area of the village of Ekachakra. In honor of the holy name of Veerbhadra Goswami, these places are renowned as Veerchandrapur and Veerbhadrapur. Recently, our devotees went to Ekachakra. I have never been to Ekachakra Dham. Recently, our devotees went on Nityananda Trayodashi day, packed, fully packed, right in the morning. Thousands of people at Ekachakra Dham. So there's a beautiful temple also there and everything. So, so it's good. I mean, these places should be, more and more visible to the general public, and they have to be glorified. In the Bengali year 1331, which is 1924 AD, a thunderbolt struck the temple of Ekachakra ground. So these historical points are also mentioned here, you see, and this will be very useful. Maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years later. Our movement is predicted to last for 10,000 years. Say 8,000 years later, you will have this information that in this year, a thunderbolt struck. I mean, these are all, you know, I told you, I think, in an earlier lecture, where the history of Indian, the deities, how they were, how the temples were destroyed by the Muslims, and at that time, how the deities were carried to different places, and the historical records in 7th century by a traveler from China, and 12th century, sorry, 9th century, another record of the Sun Temple in Multan, in Pakistan. So there was a beautiful Sun Temple which was made of gold. The deity was made of gold with jewels. And then 9th century there was, I think, the temple was destroyed or something. And then 12th century there was, something again, destruction happened at that time. 13th century there was a wooden deity there. So there are historical records. So we can actually get an idea of what happened over the generations, how people were, very determined to maintain such culture or whatever in different parts. And even our deities have so many stories like this. Our Goswami's deities also were displaced like that because of the Muslims. So this happened in Indian history, and we cannot undo that. We cannot say that it is false and not talk about it. No, these are facts. These are historical facts. Oh, some community will be offended, maybe the Muslims will be offended, so we cannot say all this. No, no, no. I mean, we're not holding against anything of present Muslims, but this is what happened, and we have to state the facts. Just like we speak openly about the British rule, right? We speak openly about the British rule. Oh, Britishers came and did this and that. They destroyed the Indian culture. Same thing the Muslims did. Same thing they did. They invaded. They and that indoctrination is still going on, even now. What the Vaishnavas, the Sanatan Dharma, the kings of Sanatan Dharma, how they defended, that is all not even described. And what are the traditions? All not described. Just like it is projected as some forest tribal religion, which was successfully replaced by some other religion, like that. But no. But anyway, all this historical knowledge is relevant. We should know what is happening, what happened with all these places of pilgrimage, everything, our culture, everything we should know. We should not be given some whitewashed, sanitized version of history which is completely different from reality, that serves no purpose other than to further atheism. Today, the Hindu population is not so serious about their religion only because of this, because they don't have a very strong ideological adherence to their culture, to their heritage, to their knowledge, to the traditions, to the history. They don't have. Um, so they are very loose and very malleable. They will do anything. They have no principles. They don't stand for anything um, strongly. That's how it has become because of a lack of a proper understanding of our roots, especially. Of course, historical knowledge is secondary, but the philosophical knowledge should be absolutely at the core of it all. And also, historical knowledge will supplement that, fortify that. But the philosophical knowledge, the theosophical uh, knowledge that is given by the acharya in the disciplic succession, that is at the very core. That is at the very core. And historical knowledge will give some context to that. Like, for example, it is mentioned that Sati was such a nonsense. Women were like forced into the. Yes, there were some pockets of India where this was done, but it's not the majority. Majority Sati, the woman herself used to immolate herself out of her own will. She was not forced. Yes, in some parts it was forced. That is definitely bad. We don't deny. But not that the entire thing is bad. People were so chaste, the women were so chaste that they did not want to live without the husband. They died. And that is even stated in Mahabharata. Madri did it. Hmm? Wife of Pandu. So this is, and even until as late as 1700s, 1800s, I mean 19th century, people still did it. When the Muslims were invading India, and in some parts of, I think, Rajputs and others, even the Sikhs, their wives, when the men of their family died in battle, the women killed themselves, immolated themselves. Why? Because they did not want to be touched by any other man, because they knew the invaders will certainly come and rape them, they will be violated, there will be this thing. No, we don't want any life. We don't want to be touched by any other man. We rather die than be touched by another man. So that is the chastity of the woman at that point. Even until 19th century, this happened. And not just one woman, isolated cases. No, many women were like that, especially in the warrior class of families. The Rajputs, the Shivajis, the Marathas, all these, and others. Maybe I don't even know many, because we were treated to a whitewashed, completely nonsense version of history of our country. So this is a fact. These are facts. So anyway, this is some historical context. In the Bengali year, I mean 1331, which is 1924, a thunderbolt struck the temple of Ekachakra Gram. Yeah, Padmavati. I think that movie is there, some Padmavati. Of course, there was some masala also added. But yeah, so I do not know even Padmavati's story. I do not know. Um, so many stories we do not know. I have not fully read. I have heard just the very gist of it. There are many such women who actually, out of their own chastity, did that. So there was a lot of bravery and a lot of devotion to the Lord, which translates to bravery. Because why do they want to lay down their lives, risk everything to preserve the culture? I mean, how the devotion is, inspiring. They're prepared to do anything for, keeping the devotion intact. So that is how we should be. Uh, that is how we should be. We should not be, okay, this one, okay, that one, okay. I'll just give in. I'll just give in. Everything I'll just give in. I was saying, I mean, um, today morning I was saying, I just found out 2 days ago, I think yesterday maybe, yeah, yesterday, that in Singapore, I actually did not know. Maybe I'm just, ignorant. I'm ignorant, certainly. Um, but I did not know that there was just one institution of marriage in Singapore. Because I knew that there was a registrar of marriages, ROM, that you have to register your marriage there, and to prove that you're husband and wife, and all housing and everything, all those things, depend on that. But I did not know there was another registry called the Registry of Muslim Marriages. There, the rules are totally different. Here in the Registry of Marriages, um, the age is 18. After 18, you can get married. But in the Registry of Muslim Marriages, after puberty, they can get married. And of course, even in our Sanatana Dharma culture, that was the culture. After puberty, the girl is given for marriage. I mean, if even in our own families, our grandmother, great grandmother, they married at very young age, in their teens, and it is not a backward sign at all. What is backward is what is happening today, where the women are given a false hope of career and this and that, and then they end up not marrying, or they end up in so many relationships in their, you know, in their early years, in their teens, they start to experiment with boys, and the boys start to experiment with girls, and they check out so many partners, and in this way, the fidelity, the chastity, everything is gone, and the men also become of horrible characters, and everything is the society is falling apart because it is not properly done. 18, the age 18, I mean, of course, the law is like that in most parts of the world. But actually, if you see naturally, the woman gets puberty at maybe 11, 12. And for what does she get puberty? If God's arrangement is that she gets puberty at that point, for what? Right? So, God has made a certain arrangement. 18 is an arbitrary number just because the English education system finishes at 10th class, 11th, and 12th class too, you know, and that is the age of 18. So, it is a man made thing. 18. From where did they get 18? Why 18? Is the woman really? Because sometimes they say, oh, when she's younger, she's not mature. So, is she mature at 18? Do you think a boy or a girl is actually mature at 18? Not really. I don't think so. They don't have a proper idea of life. But if they are trained in their childhood to lead and in religious way, the boy is from 5 years old, he's trained in Krishna consciousness, then he is quite mature at the age of 18 and even 20 and 25. He becomes very mature. And the girl also, when she's trained by the mother in household affairs and also in religious affairs, in chanting, and Krishna's, stories and philosophy. In this way, she also becomes mature. So that way, there is proper maturity. But if and also by engaging in household life, the woman gets actually a lot of education there itself. In fact, that is what will take her to the next stage of life of motherhood, where she can actually bring forth you know um, good population in this world. So that system is unfortunately replaced today by a very artificial system, which has no basis in biology, no basis in religion, no basis in nothing. I mean, just arbitrary, you know whimsical, um, age, whatever, whimsically, and then everything is falling apart. I mean, the society is falling apart. Let's be honest. It's not actually improving. The idea of a family, what is actually the aim of life? Nate vedu swarthagatam hi Vishnu, durashayaya bahirarthamanina. They don't know what is the aim of life. So anyway, um, there are many things that needs to be properly revisited. Out of very objectively, we have to revisit. For us, it's very clear from religious point of view. But people, the lawmakers, the policy makers, they need to revisit. We don't have to revisit. We already know. It's quite clear for us. But policymakers, they're having their own ideologies. They're having their own plans. So anyway, coming back to the point. Um, so 1924, the thunderbolt struck at the temple of Ekachakra. Therefore, the temple is now in a broken state. Well, when he says now, I think when Prabhupada was writing it, or whether this is, yeah. But now I think maybe not, because I think it was renovated because our devotees went there. I don't know if it's the same place or another place in the same Ekachakra Gram. So now, um, within the temple, there is a deity of Sri Krishna established by Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The name of the deity is Bankim Rai or Banka Rai. On Bankim Rai's right side is a deity of Janava, and on his left side is Srimati Radharani. The priests of the temple describe that Lord Nityananda Prabhu entered within the body of Bankim Rai, and that the deity of Janava Mata was therefore later placed on the right side of Bankim Rai. Afterwards, many other deities were installed within the temple. On another throne within the temple are deities of Muralidhar and Radha Madhav. On another throne are deities of Mano Mohan, Vrindavan Chandra, and Gauranitai. But Bankim Rai is the deity originally installed by Nityananda Prabhu. On the eastern side of the temple is a ghat known as Kadamba Khandi on the bank of a river called the Yamuna. And it is said that the deity of Bankim Rai was floating in the water and Lord Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and then installed him in the temple. Thereafter, in a place known as Bhaddapur, in the village of Virachandrapur, about half a mile west, in a place underneath a neem tree, Srimati Radharani was found. For this reason, the Radharani of Bankim Rai was known as Bhaddapurer Thakurani, the mistress of Bhaddapur. On another throne on the right side of Bankim Rai is the deity of Yogamaya. Now the temple and temple corridor rest on a high plinth, and on a concrete structure in front of the temple is and on a concrete structure in front of the temple is a kirtan hall. It is also said that on the northern side of the temple there was a deity of Lord Shiva named Bhandishwar, and that the father of Nityananda Prabhu, Hadai Pandit, used to worship that deity. At present, however, the Bhandishwar deity is missing, and in his place a Jagannath Swami deity has been installed. Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not factually construct any temples. The temple was constructed at the time of Veerbhadrapur in the Bengali year 1298, which is 1891 AD. A brahmachari of the name Shivananda Swami repaired the temple, for it had become dilapidated. Interesting. I think is this the same Shivananda Swami who's the Mayavadi? I don't know, because there's a famous Shivananda Swami who's a brahmachari and all that. I don't know if he's the one. In this temple, um, there is an arrangement to offer food to the deity on the basis of 17 seers, about 34 pounds of rice and necessary vegetables. The present priestly order of the temple belongs to the family of Gopijana Vallabhananda, one of the branches of Nityananda Prabhu. There is a land settlement in the name of the temple, and income from this land finances the expenditures for the temple. Okay, let me actually talk about this because there is a land settlement in the name of the temple, and income from this land finances the expenditures for the temple. Now, let me speak about this because this is something I found out also recently. That in India, in Bharat, the Hindu temples, the funds are managed by the government and they go entirely to the government. If you go to Tirupati, many people put in the hundi, you know, as a donation, crores and crores of rupees. Now they are thinking they're giving to Balaji, but actually the money is going to the government, and very little is actually used for just upkeep of the place. Yes, the roads are nice in Tirupati and everything. Some TTD ashram is there, guest house, something, and some of the things. But honestly, the amount of money that comes to Tirupati temple can fund so many Sanatan Dharma projects in Bharat and abroad. Now we have a temple building project here. If Tirupati had a Sanatan Dharma Prachar kind of mission, I mean, they do have something in name, but nothing goes on. Who knows any preacher from Tirupati? Nobody. No, there's no real preaching going on. In the namesake, there is something like that, but nothing is going on. But if such funds are actually diverted or distributed to temple projects like this, and let me tell you, Christianity, Islam, they have funding coming from their source countries, which are the Middle East and even highly Christianized states like America or Britain or something like that. But here, our Sanatan Dharma, nothing. So here you see how the temple gets its finances. So they have properties, and they get, even in Singapore, the Perumal temple, the Vishnu temple here, um, they have properties, and other temples also have properties here, and the rental from that and all that funds the temple, and that is the process. Even in Jagannath Puri, so much land belongs to the temple, but actually, I think much of it is taken away now, or something like that. Um, you know, there's a lot of thing going on in India, in Bharat now. Like recently, there was this case in Tamil Nadu where whole village is now the property of the Waqf board, which is the Muslim body, and they can take land at will wherever. If they think that it is their land, it is their land. Not even the Supreme Court can change that decision. I mean, they have such sweeping rules for them. I don't know how they got introduced in the Constitution in 1995, first in 1954 and then in 1995. If you do not know what I'm talking about, you should look up what is the Waqf Act 1995. WAQF Act. WAQF. Waqf Act 1995. You go and see, and you will be alarmed at what is going on. So, in that case, there was this whole village, whole town is property of the Waqf board, including a temple which is like 1,500 years old. That is also part of the, and where their whole religion did not start at that point when the temple was existing. Their whole religion did not start at that time, and now they claim the temple, the whole property is theirs. So I mean, there is no um, I mean, even Hindus are not. They used to be very, they used to take care of the deities and all that, but somehow or other, the temples have gone to the hands of the government, and nothing. The Sanatan Dharma followers, they don't have any control over the temple finances. Even on the board of the Tirupati, the Christians, the Christians are sitting there. Muslim is sitting there. How can this be possible in any other religion? But we are so callous towards our own Sanatan Dharma. We don't think much. Many people, they argue with us. When I did that Gaur Gopal video, when I said, Gaur Gopal says Bhagavad Gita is not a religious book, and I actually severely criticized that in the video, that it is a religious book. And some Hindus, so-called Hindus, they come and argue with me saying that dharma is not religion, it is a way of life. Hello, sir. What is the definition of religion then? It is a way of life. Religion is a way of life. What do you mean? What do you mean by saying that it is not religion, it is a way of life? Religion is the way of life defined by God. Vivaha, right? It is a way of life. Marriage. Where is it coming from? Religion. What are the rituals and how we should even work? What kind of work we should do? That is also way of life. That is also spelled out in religious books, in our Bhagavad Gita, in our Manusmriti, and all these things. So how can you say that religion and way of life are two separate things? Religion is the way of life defined by God for us, ordained by God. And a way of life which we have whimsically created, that is non-religious life. It is stupid to distinguish both of them, that religion and way of life are something two different things. Religion is just the ritual portion of the, where you go to the temple and join your hands and in supplication and bow down and do some yajnas. That is religion. And my work and my play and my all these family affairs, this is my way of life. That is crap. Okay. Every, what is that? Arjuna's way of life was kshatriya. But Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the battlefield. It was not spoken in a temple classroom. No, it was spoken on a battlefield. And that was the way of life for Arjuna, right? He was a warrior. And that way of life had to be dovetailed in the service of Krishna. That is the point of what religion is. It is a way of life ordained by God. What is that? Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So, people, I mean, the Hindus are just the most confused lot, and in fact, they are becoming the most atheistic lot. And all this is because of a lack of proper education in religion in our scriptures. If you really understand, then you will see the scientific basis of this whole religion. And then you will start to appreciate what this is all about. And how even temples should be run. Temples should be run. Like even big um, educational institution, universities, they have funding, hedge funds, so many funding is going on for universities. Temple is a university of spiritual science. And why it should not be funded, why it should be treated as, oh, religion is a portion of life which has to be managed somehow, and keep those high emotions at bay, at manage those emotions of people. That is how it is treated as. It is treated as a problem from the past that we have to somehow manage and sweep it under the carpet as much as possible without hurting the sentiments. And hopefully, with the education system that we have, with the work culture that we have, with the economic focus that we have, hopefully in 200 years time, maybe there will be no trace of religion, and then we will have actual peace. All that ghost of the past, which is religion, in their terms, will be finished. And now we can actually focus on real growth and modernity and all this forward progressive outlook of life. So this is the viewpoint of these rascals, where on the other hand, I mean, on the contrary, that is exactly what is destroying this whole world. And to see religion as a problem is the primary problem. Religion is actually the solution, but misunderstanding of religion, misrepresentation of religion, yes, is a big problem. But because they have only the view of the misrepresented religion, misrepresentation of religion, therefore there is so much apprehension towards religion. We have to therefore show that how relevant religion actually is in our daily way of life. Like as I'm doing this class, I mean a video on this abortion, which is taking forever to come out, I know. um, in that also, Palki Sharma, that news anchor who made that video for abortion, so she was saying, what right do religious leaders have to dictate motherhood? In dictating motherhood, what right do they have? That just shows how little of a knowledge she has on how much religion is important in every aspect of our life. Not just motherhood, childhood, adulthood, responsibility, the spiritual, everything. Not only that, even government policies, everything should be based on religion. Nothing should be without religion. So they don't understand how much religion is actually the central, the focal point of the whole, civilization. Otherwise, we're just animals. So anyway, I just want to touch upon that because the land settlement here, the income, the temple gets the income. So that's how it should be. And then if such funding is going on, then the people of the temple, the committee of the temple, they can actually focus on missionary activities. Funding, you go and see in Christianity and Islam, how they should set up missionaries in different parts of the world. The first thing, the the seminaries, the schools and everything, and then the finances, the there is actually a whole process they have laid out how one must even try to influence the policies of that place, the governmental policies, how one should infiltrate the government and actually put policies in place for Muslims, and if possible, eventually overtake and put Sharia law for Muslims. And even our current law, what is called as common law, Commonwealth law, that is coming from the British, it has its roots in Christianity. You can go and see. I have access to some books, some historical books I have purchased just to have historical knowledge of what how things panned out over time on the British occupation of India. Um, and there they came as, of course, a company doing business within them, but also actually according to their religion, Christianity, they cannot trade with um, what is it, pagans or heathens, those who are against the religion, or in Muslim Islam they call them kafir or infidels. So they are not supposed to trade with infidels. So therefore, although they came for trade, missionaries also came in that, and they wanted to convert people in Bharat into Christianity, so that eventually they will have trade not with so-called infidels and people of faith. And they thought in Bharat was a country of full of some tribal faiths and all that, some stones and some idolatry and all that. So this is their understanding of religion, of Indian religion, and therefore they had missionaries right from the beginning. So Christianity also had such intentions when they came here. Muslims also had such intentions when they came. But you know, over time, the so-called Hindus, with the fall of the Brahmanical culture, they have lost all the potency, and then they almost gave in entirely. Only traces or remnants or the bones, skeletons of real religion exist today in Bharat. So that has to be revived. That is what our movement is all about. And even the Hindus in India don't really recognize our movement as such. They think it is one section of Hinduism, Vaishnavism, that is one part of Hinduism. We have many other parts. That is how they understand. So anyway, there are three parties of priestly Goswamis who take charge of the temple management one after another. This is how it should be. Temple should be run by by the people who are followers of that sampradaya, not by some government officer who doesn't know anything about anything. A few steps from the temple is a place known as Vishram Tala, where it is said that Nityananda Prabhu in his childhood used to enjoy sporting with his boyfriends by enacting the Ras Leela and various other pastimes of Vrindavan. Near the temple is a place named Amlitala or Imlitala, which is so named because of a big tamarind tree there. According to a party named the Nedadi Sampradaya, Veerbhadra Prabhu, with the assistance of 1200 Nedas or Buddhist monks. Neda means actually bald headed people. माथा नेड़ा कपने पड़ा तिलक नाके गलाय माला देखते वैष्णवेर मता असल शक्त काजर बेला सहज भजन करछन मामू संगे लय परेर बाला. So this is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Kalichela, the so-called Vaishnavas who only dress like Vaishnavas but they have illicit affairs going on and other materialistic propensities going on. So there he says Matha Neda. Matha means head. Neda means shaven head. So here Neda the Sampradaya means Buddhist monks because they're always bald, completely bald without even a shikha. 1200 Nedas, Veerbhadra Prabhu, with the assistance of 1200 Nedas, dug a great lake of the name Shvet Ganga. Outside of the temple are tombs of the Goswamis, and there is a small river known as the Maudeshwar, which is called the water of Yamuna. Within half a mile from this small river is the birthplace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It appears that there was a big Kirtan hall in front of the temple, but later it became dilapidated. It is now covered by banyan trees. Later on, the temple was constructed within which Gaur Nityananda deities are existing. The temple was constructed by the late Prasanna Kumar Kar Karafarma. A tablet was installed in his memory in the Bengali year 1323 or 1916 AD in the month of Vaishak, April May. So these tablets, these are also important. The person when he's living, he will think that, oh, I don't want any recognition, or some people want recognition. But actually, it will be historical knowledge, historical reference. It will be a very great historical reference. The place where Nityananda Prabhu appeared is called Garbhavas. There is an allotment of about 43 bighas or 14 acres of land to continue the worship in a temple there. The Maharaj of Dinajpur donated 20 bighas of land, about 6.5 acres, in this connection. It is said that near the place known as Garbhavas, Hadai Pandit conducted a primary school. The priests of this place listed in a genealogical table were as follows. You see, genealogical table is given here. Now we may say, hey, why this is necessary? These all, as I said, historical references. As much as history is recorded, that much is good for us. Recording is always good. So, in this genealogical table, the priests of this place are listed as follows: Sri Raghav Chandra, Jagadananda Das, Krishna Das, Nityananda Das, Ram Das, Vrajamohan Das, Kanai Das, Gauradas, Shivananda Das, and Haridas. Krishnananda belonged to the Chidya Kunja at Vrindavan. The date of his disappearance is Krishna Janmashtami. Chidya Kunja is a place now managed by the Goswamis of Shringar Ghat in Vrindavan. They are also known as belonging to the Nityananda family, most probably on the basis of their relationship with Krishnadas. Near Garbhavas is a place called Bakultala, where Sri Nityananda Prabhu and his boyfriends used to take part in sporting activities known as Jhal Jhapeta. Jhal means swing, right? Maybe swing pastimes or what? I don't know. Jhal Jhapeta. There is a bakula tree there that is wonderful because all its branches and sub-branches look like the hoods of serpents. It has been suggested that by the desire of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, hoods of serpents like Ananta Seshus. Interesting. It has been suggested that by the desire of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Anantadev manifested himself in that way. Oh, actually Anantadev. Okay. So this is interesting. The tree is very old. It is said that formerly it had two trunks, but later on, when the playmates of Nityananda Prabhu felt inconvenience in jumping from the branches of one trunk to those of the other, Nityananda Prabhu, by his mercy, merged the two trunks into one. Another place nearby is named Hantugada. It is said that Lord Nityananda Prabhu brought all the holy places there. Therefore, the people in the surrounding villages go there instead of to the Ganga to take bath. It is named Hantugada because Sri Nityananda Prabhu used to perform the Dadhi Chida or Chida Dadhi or Chida Dahi. Dadhi Chida festival of distributing chipped rice with yogurt prasadam there, and he took the prasadam kneeling down. Hantugada. Okay. A sanctified lake in this place is always full of water throughout the year. A great fair is held there during Goshtashtami, and there is another big fair on the birthday of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Okay. In the Gauraganadesh Deepika 58 through 63, it is described that Halayudha, Baladeva, Vishwarupa, and Sankarshan appeared as Nityananda Avadhut. Asankhya Bhakter Karaila Avatar, Sheshe Avatirna Hoila, Vrajendra Kumar. Lord Krishna Vrajendra Kumar first caused countless devotees to appear, and at last he appeared himself. Prabhur Avirbhava Purve Jata Vaishnavagan Advaita Acharyer Sthane Kare na Gaman. Before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees of Navadvip used to gather in the house of Advaita Acharya. गीता गीता भागवत कहे आचार्य गोसाई ज्ञान कर्म निंदी करे भक्ति बढ़ाए. In these meetings of the Vaishnavas, Advaita Acharya used to recite the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, decrying the paths of philosophical speculation and fruitive activity, and establishing the super excellence of devotional service. सर्वशास्त्र को है कृष्ण भक्तिर व्याख्यान ज्ञान योग तपो धर्म नाहि मानयान. In all the revealed scriptures of Vedic culture, devotional service to Lord Krishna is explained throughout. Therefore, devotees of Lord Krishna do not recognize the processes of philosophical speculation, mystic yoga, unnecessary austerity, and so called religious rituals. They do not accept any process but devotional service. Purport: Our Krishna consciousness movement follows this principle. We do not recognize any method for spiritual realization other than Krishna consciousness or devotional service. Sometimes we are criticized by groups following Jnana, Yoga, Tapas, or Dharma, but fortunately we are unable to make any compromises with them. We simply stand on the platform of devotional service and preach the same principles all over the world. Now, nowadays in ISKCON, sometimes these yoga clubs are going on, and some speculation going on, uh, talking about mundane philosophy and even so-called motivational talk. Unnecessary austerity, well, necessary austerity is also not done. Engaging in illicit sex and all. Um, and so-called religious rituals, yeah, sometimes demigod worship is slowly being introduced. I have seen the other day some GBC resolution or a suggestion for GBC resolution or something like that. I think Malati or Urmila Mataji or somebody, they were trying to say that, you see, Lord Shiva is a Param Vaishnav. We should observe Shivaratri and we should have um, maybe even worship of Shiva Arati. We should always worship devotees. So he's the greatest devotee. Why should we not worship him? So such thing is coming in. So eventually, all kinds of contamination will come in. Of course, Lord Shiva is a Param Vaishnav, but we cannot introduce something that is not introduced by our Acharya, because we know where it will lead us to. The slippery slope will lead us to demigod worship. And with that comes the fall of all our Vaishnava tradition. While we respect Lord Shiva as the greatest devotee and we seek his blessings and seek his um, mercy in our progressive devotional service, devotional life, we can't establish such Archa Vigraha Murti and then worship, especially in our Sampradaya, especially when Srila Prabhupada did not want us to do so. So therefore, we should follow this principle, and this yoga and all these things not needed in our thing. We don't need to promote all these things. तार संगे आनंद करे वैष्णवेर गण कृष्ण कथा कृष्ण पूजा नाम संकीर्तन. In the house of Advaita Acharya, all the Vaishnavas took pleasure in always talking of Krishna, always worshipping Krishna, and always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Purport: On these principles only does the Krishna consciousness movement go on. We have no business other than to talk of Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. किंतु सर्वलोक देखी कृष्ण बहिर्मुख विषय निमग्न लोक देखी पाय दुख. But Sri Advaitacharya Prabhu felt pained to see all the people without Krishna consciousness simply merging in material sense enjoyment. Purport: A bona fide devotee of Lord Krishna is always pained to see the fallen condition of the whole world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, there is no scarcity of anything within this world, the only scarcity is of Krishna consciousness. That is the vision of all pure devotees. Because of this lack of Krishna consciousness in human society, people are suffering terribly, being merged in an ocean of nescience and sense gratification. A devotee onlooker is very much aggrieved to see such a situation in the world. So this is how we should look at the world. We should be aggrieved. We should be taking compassion and We should take all kinds of steps to counteract that. Not that so much, so many times. I mean, vast majority of devotees they just try to adjust with the material world. Okay, just live somehow and chant Hare Krishna. And don't be such a pacifist. You know, of course, I'm not saying war, but have a missionary spirit. We must have a missionary spirit, and that missionary spirit comes from a deep feeling inside that there is everything wrong with this world. The way it is going currently, everything is wrong. Okay, in the sense that people are not religious, and that has to be rectified for their own good and for our own good. We should not be accepting their indoctrination. Actually, we do not even realize how much we are indoctrinated. We are actually blind to how much indoctrination we are under the influence of. We don't even think twice when we do certain things. Like I see many devotees when they come to the temple, they dress as devotees. When they're not going in the temple, when they go outside, maybe to buy something in the mall or something like that, they wear karmi dress. Why? Why? I don't understand. Why it should be like that? Huh? We should really be proud to flaunt our culture. We should flaunt our culture. Why should I take camouflage in the materialistic culture? Why should I be a chameleon? That means I don't have enough pride in my own thing. I want to be accepted in the world. I want to be like one of them. This has to come out. Devotees have to come out of this. Devotees have to come out of this. We have to be proud wearing our own dress. Even that we cannot do. Then what are we here for then? How are we going to, preach, and how are we going to push on this missionary activity if we don't have faith in our own thing? You know, I think one Christian saint, Augustine, some I don't know who, he said like this: if the world is against the truth, then I'm against the world. That is how we should be. In essence, that is a very simple statement. That means I am for the truth. But what happens is we may stand for certain values, but if the world is against that, we are not bold enough to actually stand for our values. In the face of adversity, we crumble. And that's a sign of lack of strength. In this statement of that Christian saint, if the world is against the truth, then I am against the world. So I don't care what the world thinks. Because people want safety in numbers. Safety in numbers means, oh, if many people are like that, if I'm also like that, then I'm safe. I'm not like standing out. But our religion is outstanding religion. We have to stand out. It's an outstanding religion. I mean, it's the highest. The culture, the knowledge, everything is the highest, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. There's nothing comparable, not even close. So why when we are of such lofty culture and lofty sampradaya, lofty knowledge, we have the path back to Godhead and we're not proud of it? When we have the answers to the whole world, we're not proud of it. Why? Hmm. So we have to rethink. So that is because we are colonized. We are still colonized. We are still under the influence of colonial mentality. We have to dress like the Westerners. Why? Why can't we be the trendsetters? Let's be the trendsetters. Prabhupada went to America, changed their clothes, and brought them back to India, and then Indians changed their clothes looking at the Westerners. I mean, is that required? but but you see the power of Prabhupada. That's what we should do. We should change them according to the Vedic viewpoint, not we change our thing. Ours is the highest. We should not bend. Of course, as a matter of tact, tactfully we may do something, but we cannot bend our culture entirely. We have to bring them. So, um, one Supreme Court, Indian Supreme Court advocate in the Indian Supreme Court, he was telling that one day, and this was recently, I mean, just like maybe in the last 1 or 2 years, one day this young man, lawyer, he came to the Supreme Court in dhoti and kurta and that like a sleeveless kind of overcoat on the kurta, kind of that. So he was wearing that. He wore that and came to the court, and it was in India, in Bharat, and all the people were looking at him like he's a strange creature from another planet. If the same thing, and this lawyer says, if the same thing he would have done in a UK court, they will celebrate it as cultural diversity. In India, it is like frowned upon and given weird looks and come on, what is wrong with you? That kind of look. So, so it just shows how much we're indoctrinated. It is entrenched in our consciousness. So a devotee onlooker is very much aggrieved. We are not carried away by the technological advancement. Oh, nowadays Indians are very proud of the technological advancement and infrastructure projects that are going on in India. Whatever, in the eyes of Western advancement. Let me tell you this. It may be uncomfortable for many Hindus, and they may not even like me for saying this or whatever. This so-called advancement is unsustainable. Advancement based on capitalism is unsustainable. Capitalism is a Western worldview that is based on exploitation. They show it as if it's virtuous, show it as if it's meritorious, like, oh, capitalism, we have to make profits out of, what is capitalism? Making profits. That is capitalism. To make money, profit. And to make profit, and you see, even the KPIs, the key performance indices, how to judge whether a country or a person or a community or whatever is advancing, the only thing that is measured is the finances. So if so much stress is put on finances as the goal for advancement, and if you see on magazine covers, who are the most successful people? Oh, the Forbes 500, the Forbes 100, the 50 richest men in the world. These kinds of things are shown as success, those who have made it financially. So this is capitalist propaganda. We should not be believing that they're actually successful. They're not successful. And sportsmen like cricketers, football, they're given undue respect as if they're gods. What are they doing? They just hitting a ball with a bat, or kicking the ball with a leg. Just see that how much actual contribution are they making to the world. How much are they actually helping the world by doing that? It's just whimsical fanfare. There's no meaning to that actually. It's just entertainment. Movie actors given so much, VIPs, VVIPs, fan club, this, whatever, that, security and all that. We become, we think, we are forced to think that, they are the most important people, they are upper echelons of society. They're not. They are hyped up fools. That's it. That's what they are. If such entertainers, like previously, there used to be entertainers. In Vedic culture, the Brahmanas are the highest, the Kshatriyas. Then Kshatriyas, they revere the Brahmanas, they take counsel from the Brahmanas, the sages. And then there used to be entertainers, yes, dancers, dramatists, actors, they used to be. But what do they used to do? They used to depict the pastimes of the Lord. And that will help. Then, yes, they're very good. But still the Brahmanas are the topmost. Those who guide the society, they're the topmost. And everything else falls on that. So when the KPIs are changed, then we will know who's actually the... So if you whimsically put a certain KPI, what is a KPI? Key Performance Index. What is the measurable thing that measures some advancement of something? Now, because we have put money as the index of advancement, therefore those who make more money are considered successful. They are more advanced. Such countries are more advanced. So if we say that God consciousness is the KPI, how much people are God conscious, Krishna conscious, and how much it is translating to their way of life? How much are they peaceful? How much are they compassionate? How much are they having the legs of religion, the compassion, the truthfulness, the mercy? I mean, compassion, mercy, same thing. Cleanliness, austerity. These are the symptoms by which the society should be judged. Like you see, you go to the airports, you are discriminated against. There is an economy class, there is a business class, there is a first class. Why don't they say first class, second class, third class? Why they say first class, business class, economy class? They want you to feel good. I'm a first class. Suppose I don't have that much money. Well, I'm a business class, doing business. I'm work purposes. I'm a businessman, suit, boot, and all that. And if I don't have even that money, I would go on economy class. Well, I'm economical. I'm very, um, what is that? Um, what is that? I'm very judicious about my spending of my money. I'm very economical. Yeah, I'm economical. I'm, I don't waste much money. So they make you feel good, but actually, in their eyes, you're a third class customer if you are sitting in the economy class. The first class is actually the first class for them because that gives them more money. Business class is a second class guy, but if you call him second class, he will get angry. So it's a business class. If he calls you third class, you will get super angry. You will protest in the airport. So therefore, he'll call you economy class. Make you feel good. Euphemism. This is called euphemism. Make you feel good, but treat you like crap. So anyway, so first class, second class, of course, classes should always be there. Even in religious aspect, there is classes. First class, second class, third class, fourth class man, and fifth class man. Antyajas. But here, when we look at fourth class or fifth class or whatever, we are not actually discriminating. We want to help them. How to make them first class? Make as many people climb this ladder of class from, just like capitalism is all about, encouraging you to make more money and then become first class. So here also there is encouragement how to elevate religiously and make him first class Vaishnav. So when you have a country whose index is based on religious advancement, then yes, you will have the true picture of the world. Actually, who is first class, who is second class, who is third class, who is 10th class. You will know. So don't buy in to this commercial or capitalist agenda and propaganda, which is so solidly set up that not only are they giving you, inspiration about giving these famous and rich and famous people as the people who are successful, but also they have laid, it's not just based on inspiration. Oh, become inspired by them and you also become like that. No. They put a system in place where you can't get a job if you don't have a degree. It doesn't matter whether your degree is connected with the job or not. It doesn't matter. You can have mechanical degree and you can be a computer programmer in a company. If you can do that, you have to have degree. So why should the company or even countries, not only the company, sometimes country, like in Singapore, if an Indian has to come here and work under an employment pass, so he has to have a degree, no matter in what discipline, but he has to have a degree. If he doesn't have a degree, he cannot get employment pass. He can get work pass, which is like a equivalent to the construction workers, and it's a blue collar job compare as opposed to a white collar job. So white collar, blue collar, all these are classes basically. They're giving colors, but actually it's first, second, third class, these kind of things. So all based on money. And your education system is geared. How are you educated? You're educated so that by the time your education is finished, you are a slave to the corporate, to the this capitalist machinery. And so, and it's based on exploitation. If profits are the only thing that matter in a capitalist economy, in a capitalist country, then you have to compete with others who also make profit of the same product or service. How do you do that? Reduce your costs, And that would mean cheaper employment, going to countries where you can get cheaper employment. What does that mean? Precisely that is exploitation. Why Apple has factories in China and now maybe moving to India, sometime Vietnam, Bangladesh, textiles industry, huge in Bangladesh, manufacturing. Why? Because they can get cheap labor and then they can have higher profits. So when you are getting cheap labor, that means you're exploiting them. The same job in America will, yield a lot more, but in Bangladesh a lot less. So why the disparity? If in America certain population are paid less for the same job and certain population more, there will be a riot. But because it's different countries, these country people, they can't see what's happening in America, and okay, they're just concerned about their own country, their own situation, so they don't really fight for it, and in that way, exploitation happens. So when you're talking about capitalist, oh, India is developing on all fronts, digital, this and that. We are only concerned about, okay, we're not saying don't develop that. Yes, it is good, like now we are having live streams, we are having internet connections, which is good when it is used for dharmic uses, when it's used for Krishna consciousness. Yes, so that should be the focus. Everything else should be a even other advancement. We're not saying don't advance or what, advance, but don't do it to a point where it becomes unsustainable. I'll give another example. Okay, let me finish this. So if only those infrastructure projects are touted as example for advancement, we are missing the point. Our culture, our religion, Krishna consciousness should be developed, should be more and more prominent. That is a sign of advancement. India should export, Bharat should export its culture, its religion, Krishna consciousness. That is what, and Prabhupada did that already. We should continue doing that everywhere. That is the real product of India, of Bharat. Another point, recently I was looking at this. The agriculture systems based on capitalism, where industrial farming takes over the traditional farming methods and machinery, pesticides, all these things. And now, since 1960s, India has taken up in a big way agriculture, using so-called Western modern methods of pesticides and all these things. And now the land is just becoming dead. It's almost dead in many parts of India. And eventually we will not have enough, Bharat will not have enough food supply from their own country. And Kali Yuga also, it is said that eventually there will be no more rice, no more wheat, no more water even. How these things will happen? Because of this kind of measures. And we are thinking in short-term gains. We are not looking at the long-term picture. Why did Bharat did not have these sophisticated machinery for agriculture and all that? Not because they were primitive. They knew very well the consequences of artificial ways, and they only looked for natural, not looked for, the Vedas, the Vedic literature, the Arthashastra, Dharmashastra, they already have all the systems in place. How we should live in harmony with the natural laws set up by Krishna and advance our devotional life. Don't make it too complicated. Why do you need millions of dollars and hundreds of cars? Why do you need? Stay in the Kamasanendra Priti. Just have sufficient for living to stay alive, and then after that, the rest of life is used for self-realization. That should be the thing. If we just focus inordinately or disproportionately on economic development, we will miss the whole point, and we will become worse than the Western countries, worse than them. So we cannot just focus on that. No, that is not. It is unsustainable. Capitalist agenda is unsustainable. It will not last, or it will not stand the test of time. Our system is actually the way. As it is said, there is enough for man's need, but not enough for man's greed in this world. So Krishna has provided everything. They are saying now overpopulation. Oh, population is increasing. No, no, no. The population that is there is greedy as hell, and therefore it is becoming a problem. It is the greed that is the problem. It's not the population that is the problem. It's the greed of the population that is the problem. So how the greed can be reduced? By Krishna consciousness. There is enough supply for however much. We don't have to take to abortion or to control the. Now there is a population bill that is coming up, in India. They're trying to say that if you should have if you have more than two children, then you will not have certain economic or certain social benefits. So they're discouraging more than two children. What will that lead to? Abortion. India is now the most populous country in the world. That is not a problem actually. That should not be a problem. It is easy to say that it is a problem, but it is only a problem because of our mismanaged way of running the government, of running the country. If you run it according to the way that is described in the Vedas, so much more population can be sustained in India and also in the world. Um, so we have to understand all of this. So a devotee onlooker is very much aggrieved to see such a situation in the world. And what was Advaita Acharya aggrieved at? People were interested in karmakanda. They were actually doing religious rituals, but karmakanda. And he was feeling compassion. Now they're not even doing that. How much more we should feel? But are we feeling like that? Or are we feeling, okay, I'm in a comfortable society, I have a work, I have some colleagues who are also friends, or I have some, I'm going to university, and yeah, I'm also chanting on the side, and I'm also this and that. I'm not feeling anything that means. Okay, what is the time? Okay, I think I'll stop it here. Or should I just finish this part? Okay, I'll just finish until this part. लोकेर निस्तार हेतु करे न चिंतन केमते एसबु लोकेर होई बेतारन. Seeing the condition of the world, he began to think seriously of how all these people could be delivered from the clutches of Maya. कृष्ण अवतरी करेन भक्तिर विस्तार तबे तो सकल लोकेर होइबे निस्तार. Srila Advaita Acharya Prabhu thought if Krishna himself appears in order to distribute the cult of devotional service, then only will liberation be possible for all people. Purport. Just as a condemned person can be relieved by a special favor of the chief executive head, the president, or the king, so the condemned people of this Kali Yuga can be delivered only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself or a person especially empowered for this purpose. Srila Advaita Acharya Prabhu desired that the Supreme Personality of Godhead advent himself to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Krishna अवतारिते आचार्य प्रतिज्ञा करिया कृष्ण पूजा करे तुलसी गंगा जल दिया. With this consideration, Advaita Acharya Prabhu, promising to cause Lord Krishna to descend, began to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna with tulsi leaves and the water of the Ganges. Purport. Tulsi leaves and Ganga water with, if possible, a little pulp of sandalwood is sufficient paraphernalia to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. If one offers me with love and devotion leaf, flower, fruit, and water, I will accept it. Following this principle Advaita Prabhu pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead with tulsi leaves and water of the Ganga. Krishner ahvan kore saghana hunkare Krishna hoila Vrajendra Kumar. By loud cries, he invited Krishna to appear, and this repeated invitation attracted Lord Krishna to descend. So, similarly, if we repeatedly chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna will descend. Of course, he has already descended in the form of the holy name, then we can actually perceive his descent. Okay, from here we will continue in the next class. Okay. So until 71 we have finished. Okay. So any questions or comments, I'll just go through. I think Jai Shri Ram. Again, all kinds of things we will do. Today, Bangladeshi religious fundamentalists hail Bakhtiyar Khilji as the harbinger of Marunmadam to their land. Shripad Vipin Vihari Goswami felt that Sridham Mayapur is located somewhere else. Since the current area is a marsh and couldn't have been inhabitable in the time of Mahaprabhu, please clear my doubt. Bhaktivinoda Thakur dealt with all these kinds of people. Finally, Jagannath Das Babaji confirmed the place of Mayapur. So we follow the Acharyas. To find out the birthplace of the Lord is not possible by persons devoid of spiritual strength. Um, you need spiritual strength to be able to find out all these things, all these secrets. So, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he glorified Bhaktivinoda Thakur that because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so strong spiritually, he could find the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ordinary historians will not be able to find so easily. And to confirm it, Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked Jagannath Das Babaji. And his dance, his ecstatic dance, is the confirmation. That's why it is said Gauravirbhava 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 Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaham Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha. Jagannath Das Babaji's Pranati mantra is that he has confirmed the Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam, the birth site of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has ascertained. Now, if he says it's a marsh and it was not inhabitable, then what about the Radha Kund and Shamakund which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dug out of a paddy field? That was not inhabitable. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this is the place where, Radha and Krishna were having these pastimes. So, people of such caliber can actually know, others cannot know. So, we should take their opinion, not some who's Vipin Chandra Goswami, who's that. We don't care. We care for the acharyas and their opinions. That's how we understand things. That's why Krishna himself says, Bhakto se me sakasat rahasyam niyatu uttamam. You are my devotee and therefore you can understand this rahasya. And therefore the parampara is of Vaishnava Sampradaya. Not that any people just coming and giving their opinions. We don't really give so much credit to them or importance to them. Does a stri's pativrata directly correlate to Pumsa's bala? Not really. I mean, both have to do their part. That's the thing. The man should become spiritually strong, and the wife should be chaste to the man. That is a proper combination, progressive combination. But um, not that the chastity of woman will give strength to the man. It is the man who have to give strength to the woman, spiritual strength. And of course, if the woman gives strength to the man by cooperating and not just fighting and arguing and bickering over everything, and that will be, and of course, the man should be guiding her to spiritual life. That is proper. Rani, what is it? Padmini was from Simhali royal family and conversant with Vedic Vidya. Okay, I don't know. What is that? Padmavati. Okay. Polyamory is very dangerous even from a mundane perspective, as you take on the partner's ancestral karma and subtle patterns. You don't know what you're asking for in casual sex. Yeah, this is a complete nonsense. But polygamy was there, where the man was. Polyamory is different. Polygamy, yes, was there, and that too it was religiously conducted. In Kali Yuga, forget it. I mean, and the women also, were. I actually will give you an example of this happened last Thursday. So I was in this vegetable market, and I was talking to an old lady who is 80 plus, I think 82 or 83 or something years old, and she's still there. She has a business of bananas, selling bananas, and her truck of bananas hasn't come. So I was just having a conversation with her, and we were, she was saying how life, comparing life of her young days and now. She was saying, "Oh, nowadays my workers are not so stable. Some every few months they change, and I have to find another worker. Previously, people used to work for 20 years, 30 years at a stretch. We never had a problem like this before. People are becoming more and more restless and more unstable." And then, so such conversation began, and then she was saying, I mean, so I said, yeah, I mean, nowadays people don't have any culture also, you know, they're not so much religious as before, they don't have so much values. And also, even in households, parents used to be able to discipline their children. Now, if the children are disciplined some, little bit, the child will call police on them. So, how can the parents sufficiently discipline the child? The child is becoming spoiled. And with that, they'll become pampered. And also, this idea of child labor. She was saying actually that she used to work from, she started helping her mother in this business of vegetable selling and all that when she was 7 years old. Imagine a 7-year-old girl helping her mother in her business. Now, Western society will call that child labor. Oh, this is child labor. But it's not. What happens if a person, of course, you should not abuse a child with extraordinary amounts of work, but the child actually should learn helping the parents when he's young. And especially this is even more so in Gurukul system, where at 5 years old, 6 years old, he is given to the Gurukul, and then there he serves the Guru like a slave actually. People may Western world, oh, slave mental, oh, this is abuse, children abuse. It's not actually mistreating the child, but he's being trained how to serve, and that service attitude will create humility in him, and practical skills they will learn by working like that. Huh? And also they will learn a lot of, because they're dealing with life already, because they're helping their parents, and things, so they become responsible in that way. So even if the Gurukul system is not there, at least they used to help their parents, and that way become a little more cultured and then grow up like that. And so in that way the conversation was going, and then she was saying that women also were different in those days. um, the man would take care of the family, and sometimes he would have polygamous relationships with other women, but the wife used to be okay with that, and because he used to take care of the family, and he used to take care of the other family also with the other woman. They were not actually staying together. She will be somewhere else, although that's not actually ideal, but women used to be okay with that. And if we see our own culture, which is much more civilized, much more deeply rooted in Krishna consciousness religion, people had, I mean, just recently we did Ram Navami. His father Dashrath had 3 wives, right? I mean, so polygamy was there, and co-wives used to live with each other. The system was there. And I saw in Singapore marriage law that just yesterday this was, I came to know that apart from registry of marriages, there is another registry which is called registry of Muslim marriages, ROM and ROMM, and both have different laws. And Muslim marriages, the child can be married after puberty, and the man can have 4 wives, and all such things are there. There is a Muslim registry marriage, that is, and the civil marriage. So, two different rules. So, of course, today, how much can the kind of patience that people have, the men and women, they cannot actually maintain also polygamous relationships. By law, also, it is not this thing. But anyway, these things were going on, and they had reasons, legitimate reasons, why polygamy was allowed. Like, for example, there will be more women than men, and every woman must be protected, and every man need not be protected, and every man need not marry, every woman must marry. So, of course, there will be lesser men and more women, and some of the men must accept more than one wife. That was the thing. But it's not the illicit relationships one should have. you know. And then nowadays the sex is for what? I mean, many, even in marriage, even within husband and wife, it is all for just sense gratification, not for progeny. That's rubbish. Traditionally, the village would be dedicated to the Archa Vigraha. Yes, that is the way it should be. That is the way it was and before. Now, no. In Bhavishya Purana, it is written that there will be a great fight between Sanatan Dharma with Muslims and Christians in 2050. I don't know about that. I haven't read that part. I mean, I have not read Bhavishya Purana. Um, I don't know. But actually, a big fight is not necessary. What is necessary is a proper understanding of religion in on merit. Proper understanding of religion based on merit, not just based on sentiments and fanaticism. If you objectively study religion, and that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's proposal is also, that there should be open discussions on the aim of life, the aim of religion, and all that, and then we will find a lot of similarities, and at the same time we can um, establish that our Vaishnava religion, especially that which is propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to be the highest, and everybody can be accepted into that fold. And it is not for any some conquest and exploitation of people, or otherwise invade them. Not that way. It's just in a very very civil way. If we have honest discussions among the religious leaders, then we can come to, and government should actually help in this. So anyway, there's a whole article written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on that. I won't go deeply into that because we have no time now. Okay. Roji, can you please describe how the Rig Veda related to Vaishnava tradition? I don't know much about Vaishnavism. Please help me to understand. So, okay, that's not the subject of our class, so I can't spend time answering that. But all Vedaista sarvair ahameva vedya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, all Vedas are meant only to reveal me. The study of all Vedas is meant for understanding me, Krishna says. So, Rig Veda and Samveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, all of them are meant to reveal Krishna in the end. But Vedeshu Durlabham, Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. By study of Vedas, we cannot actually find Krishna. That is paradoxical, is it not? But it is not, because the Vedas have to be approached through the Acharya. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyete kathita hi arthaha prakashante mahatmanah. So we have to go to a Mahatma. Who is Mahatma? Defined in Bhagavad Gita as one who surrenders to Krishna in chapter 7, text 19 and chapter 9, text 13. So such Mahatmas we have to go, and then such Guru we have to go and have to have implicit faith in that Guru. Then all these purports will be revealed to us. How everything is related to Vaishnavism, and how everything points to service to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. That's why Krishna finally says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up everything else, every other dharma, surrender to me. That is actual dharma. Sumit Biswas. But sir, if capitalism is not the way, what model we are supposed to follow? The Vedic model. The Vedic model is very simple. Inordinate economic development is not the goal. Dharma is the goal. Okay. So with natural resources, develop your own land, have your own agriculture, cow protection, self-sustaining communities, and herbs which cure the diseases that come in that part of the world. The plants already grow there. This is by nature's arrangement. Everything is given. Just like when the child takes birth, immediately there is milk in the breast of the mother. Until then, there was no milk in the breast. After that, there are the breasts are filled with milk. So how Krishna has arranged for the food of the child. So a natural way, everything is arranged. Krishna has arranged. So we have to just go with that natural way and just work for self-sustenance, not extraordinary profits. And the rest of the time, spend for spiritual realization. Spend on the furtherance of religion, furtherance of Krishna consciousness, and have programs, have dramatic performances, dances, have entertainment based on Krishna consciousnyou know So all activity is based on Krishna consciousness. So in that way, everything will be properly aligned. So a civilization like that would not look like the modern civilization, which we think is advancement, but actually it is not. It will not look like this. It will look like a very seemingly, in their eyes, a very primitive civilization where everything is natural. But that will be the most sustainable model. And honestly, this civilization has sustained for millions of years like that. It is now only we are facing this capitalism and it is already ruining. It is having some short term gains, I don't deny. But the long term, like you see, this pollution and all that, it will ruin the earth. And Bhagavatam already stated that we're not going to have enough food, we're not going to have enough water, nothing, everything will dry up because of these kinds of measures, atheistic measures. Communism is atheistic, capitalism is also atheistic. Vedic way, which is sustainable way. That's why Bharat should be the beacon light to actually show the real way of life. They say, oh, dharma is a way of life. This is the way of life. Huh? Spiritual, and that spiritual will percolate into every other aspect of life. Spiritual is at the summit, and that will automatically percolate into every single aspect of our life, and everything will be religious in that point. At that point, how agriculture should be performed religiously. Ideally, we should not have tractors. We should have bulls. Now, the bulls, they're just sent to the slaughterhouse because they have no use anymore. But we should actually have bulls. Now you may say, oh, that is very small scale. You should have large scale. Why this industrial farming? Why it is necessary? It's not necessary. Every man can, have his own produce, and by using the bulls and everything, he will have good exercise first of all, and the bull is being maintained, and the cow will give so many nice ingredients, panchagavya, which is used for all kinds of sacrificial performances. The bull also, of course, will give all that. So these are the things that are necessary for actual human life, for our furtherance of our spiritual life. The focus should be on that. But nowadays, our focus is on money. Money is not the focus. It's a secondary thing to attain the dharma, attain, you know, uh, moksha. And finally, of course, love of Godhead, prema. Prema pumartho mahan. That is the actual model we have to follow. That's why you see Ramarajya. How Lord Ramachandra, what is so great about Ramarajya? He did not have capitalism. Neither did Yudhishthir Maharaj, nor did Parikshit Maharaj, nor did Prithu Maharaj. None of them had capitalism in place. They had the Vedic model, Krishna conscious model, where Krishna is at the center. And devotion to Krishna is the measuring yardstick by which a person's advancement is measured, and the whole education system is geared towards that. The whole work culture is geared towards that. Now, all work culture, education, and the inspirational figures so called in society are all geared towards capitalist agenda. We are being fed an agenda when we are thinking we are successful if we become one of those. We are just slaves to that agenda. That's all. That's what is happening. Even Forbes is not real as they gave the tag of best bank to SVB, which fell apart. Okay. Yeah, of course, it's full of faults. Unji Tantra. Capitalism relies on Varna Sankara. Yeah. Gita says Varna is based on Guna and Karma. Yes. In every society, there are classes and different levels of existence. That's right. Padarth, uh, substance has been separated from reality. India is always a holy land, and many spiritual masters and divine personalities had come to guide us. That's true. But your profile picture of that Vivekananda, I'm sorry to say, but he's not one of those. He is given a lot of respect, but honestly, if you compare his teachings with the Vedic teachings, with Bhagavad Gita, they do not match. I'm sorry to say. I mean, maybe you have a lot of faith in him, but he is not one of those saintly persons who actually properly represented our religion. In fact, he misrepresented. And I can quote many, many evidences for that. I don't want to go into that at this point. So, we should know who is actually a sadhu. He was not a devotee of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. That is necessary. Surrender to Krishna. Whoever does that, then he is actually a guru. Um, Now, he told many things contrary to devotional principles. So, like, what is the use of temples? Football fields are better. What is the use of tulsi plant? Eggplant is better. Things like this. I mean, and he even ate meat. I don't know if you know. When he went to America, he ate meat. And so, principle wise, he's not actually very this thing. I mean, even he was close with women there. So, even his so-called guru Ramakrishna, they call him Paramahamsa. We disagree. It's not the case. So these things are not understood because people don't check them against the actual standards mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is the real guru. Okay, what he says, if anybody follows that, then he's also guru. If his ideology is something else, immediately reject. Immediately reject. That's it. So many people do not know. I'll just quote you something from Bhagavad Gita, and this is the case with Kali Yuga, 1832. अधर्मं धर्ममिति या मन्यते तमसावृता सर्वार्थान् विपरीतांश्च बुद्धिः सा पार्थ तामसी. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction of Partha is in the mode of ignorance. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. And that's what Vivekananda was. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, the intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Now, here is where Hindus will become, hey, come on, you're working for unity of Hindus or separation of Hindus. We are not actually for Hindus. Hindu is a foreign word. Sanatan Dharma is our real word. And what is Sanatan Dharma? The Lord is Sanatan, we are Sanatan, eternal, meaning, and the Lord's abode is Sanatan, and our journey towards the Sanatan Dhama to engage in the service of the Sanatan Lord, and we ourselves being Sanatan, part and parcel of the Lord, that transaction of devotion between the Lord and the devotee and the Lord, that is our Sanatan Dharma. Okay? And it has no beginning in time, no end in time. It is always true, even if we forget for the time being. Why, if I don't consider myself Hindu or Sanatan Dharma, I'm still a Sanatan follower of Sanatan Dharma. Not follower, I belong. My original relationship is that. Like for example, if I say that I don't consider this person as my father, but I can't change the relationship that this is my father and I am his son. So the relationship is true. Of course, our material relationship will end with the body, but our real relationship with the Lord does not change. That we are His parts and parcels. It does not change. That is Sanatan Dharma. So that is the real meaning of Sanatan Dharma. Uh, Anything other than that is not. Is not. That's why. Then we may ask why there are so many types of pujas. There are so many devatas and this and that. Those are all stepping stones to the point of the actual Sanatan Dharma, which is Vaishnavism, Vishnu Bhakti. And that is exactly what Bhagavad Gita is saying. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedas. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandana partho vatsah sudhir bhokta dugdham gitamritam maha Sankaracharya himself said, Kimanyaihi shastra vistaraihi. What is the use of study of any other scripture when you read Bhagavad Gita? He's saying himself in his own Gita Mahatmya. And Bhagavad Gita is saying this. That's surrender unto me, Krishna is saying. Alone. So all those who cannot surrender to Krishna, Krishna is saying, okay, you surrender to Ganesh, surrender to Shiva. But who are they? They are my chelas. So indirectly you're surrendering to me. But you're not accepting that you're surrendering to me. You're thinking you're surrendering to someone else. But they're not independent of me. Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Whatever they can give you, they are only able to give you because of me. I am sanctioning, Krishna is saying. So if we understand this Bhagavad Gita properly, then we will understand who is actually right, who is guru, who is not, what is religion, what is not. All this we will understand. We need a lot of cleanup inside of Sanatan Dharma, inside of so-called Hinduism that is known today. There are a lot of cleanup to be done. Yeah. I follow Advaita school of philosophy. I like Gita commentary of Ādi Shankaracharya. Well, Ādi Shankaracharya said himself, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. You may like, but Krishna is saying, Brahmano hi pratisthaham. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Impersonal Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti is coming from me. Just like any light. There is light in this room which I am sitting in, but there is a source of light. The light here in this room is all pervading, but the source of light is localized. So similarly, the Brahma Jyoti, Brahman, that is coming from Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. He's saying, I am the basis of the impersonal, I am the source of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So you may like or not, but that is not the truth. There is only partial aspect. Impersonal Advaita Vedanta is a partial understanding. It's not complete understanding. And we can never become God. Advaita Acharya says, Advaita Acharya. Shankaracharya says like that. We can become one with God, merge with God. We cannot merge with God. We will always be a, because if we can merge with God, that means the dharma is not Sanatana. It will end at a certain point when we will merge with God. That time our dharma is no more. No, Sanatana dharma is always there. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the soul is not cleavable. It cannot be divided. It cannot be merged. So it doesn't convalesce, it doesn't divide. So it is always Sanatan. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa. Nachevana bhavishyama sarve vayam atah param. At all times, we are all existing as individuals, Krishna is saying. And we will stay as individuals even after liberation. How should we interpret worship of Lord Shiva by Lord Ram? First of all, Valmiki Ramayana does not state that he actually worshipped Lord Shiva. Valmiki Ramayana does not have this. There are other aspects of other Ramayana which says. Now, even if, let's say, he has actually worshipped Lord Shiva, what is contradictory in that? That does not establish that Lord Shiva is supreme. Okay, if you say that is, then what about Krishna becoming the charioteer for Arjuna? He became a driver for Arjuna. So Arjuna is superior to Krishna? Or he was tied up by Mother Yashoda. Is Mother Yashoda superior to Krishna? He carried the shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head when he was a boy. So Nanda Maharaj is superior to Krishna? He became the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So Vasudeva and Devaki are superior to Krishna? Ugrasena is his grandfather. So Ugrasena is superior to Krishna? Yes, they are superior only in rasa tattva. In relationship, that is a kind of flavor of devotion. So Lord Krishna, he always worships his devotees. Not only Lord Shiva, he worships so many devotees, his own devotees. Krishna washed the feet of Sudama. So Sudama is superior to Krishna? Tell me. So even if Lord Ram worshipped Lord Shiva, that does not make Lord Shiva superior. Whereas Lord Shiva is always meditating on Ram. And he fell for Mohini, but Lord Krishna or Shiva, Lord Krishna or Ram, they never fell for Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva fell when Mohini Murti came. But Krishna or Ram, they never fall. So we have to see, objectively, why even if Lord Ram actually worshipped Lord Shiva, how does that um, make the position of Ram inferior or Shiva to be the supreme? It does not. It does not. I'm going to start working soon, so should I tell my manager it's against my religion to not wear tilak and dhoti kurta? I don't know. He will allow you to work. Because as much as you have right to practice your religion, he has his right to employ whoever he wants. So you have to strike a balance there, and at least keep your principles, the most essential principles, intact, which is eating prasadam. And if you can, of course, join full time, that will be the best, full time devotee. But if you can't, if you're working, then don't compromise on your four principles. Even don't directly or indirectly eat with people who are eating meat. You can't do that. So at least those principles should be. If you can wear tilak to the workplace, that's well and good. If you can wear dhoti, even better. If he allows you, why not? I mean, it is much more, even in current society, even though it is like ethical, it is much more acceptable for a woman to wear anything she wants, but man only wears pants, shirts like that. So even if a woman wears a sari, she will not be like looked upon weirdly. Maybe she will be for a while, but after that, okay, she will accept that's her dress. But women are themselves not confident of wearing the sari. They're not. I mean, even Indian women, they're not confident of wearing the sari. So, I mean, there has to be a change. Of course, it's best not even to go out there and work. That's the ideal, you know. So that's what we should. I mean, Prabhupada, I mean, during his time, where devotees were working, men or women, no, they were full time and they were serving, you know. Okay, so Dilip is saying, Prabhuji, I'm unable to completely stop my bad habit. I have one doubt that is, should I have to wait till I completely atone my sins and then chant? Because if I chant, I shouldn't be committing sin, seventh offense. Well, you just chant first. Okay, that is the only atonement that can be done. It's not about committing sins on the strength of chanting, but chanting to purify yourself, and eventually the chanting is more powerful and it will overtake your sinful activity, and then you will be all right situated. I think these comments are going over a lot. I don't have so much time, honestly. Diksha Guru of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Ah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur rejected him already. That weapon, okay, that weapon Vihari, okay, that one. He already was rejected. Because I see Muslims wear burqa, etc. Yeah, they are standing for the religion. I mean, that's why if you can, you should. I don't know if he'll still keep you in the office. I don't know. But if you can, yeah, why not? You should say this is cultural diversity. You should respect my religion. I mean, of course, best is if you don't even work there, you can teach them, you know, start a temple. But of course, you have to be trained also. Not marking your forehead is a crime you're doing to others. Clothes are not so important. Well, it's not so important, but if you can do, why not? You know, nobody cared when I wore bhasma to my pipe fitting job. This isn't about show. If I know I can wear this at work as an additional reminder spiritually of Krishna for myself and in effect others as well, then I'll do. Yeah, try. This is the same mentality which toppled Vedic civilization, being passive. Actually, they were not so pacifist as we were led to believe. They were actually having a lot of wars. They, in fact, fought very hard. But those wars were covered to our. We did not learn all of that in the history. Um, but also, the pacifist nature was also there, I don't deny. But there was also war. There was a lot of resistance. But the problem was spiritually they were weak. Militarily they may be strong in trying to. Spiritually, the core was dwindling. You know, the core knowledge, the core aspect of our culture was dwindling. So this birthright Brahmanism and all these things are actually very vulnerable section. I mean, vulnerable parts of our society, of our civilization, which were easily exploited by the invaders. But if things were intact as they should be, then it would not have happened so easily. So the crumbling is not because of a lack of warriors. There were warriors, but the inherent societal fractures that were happening because of a misrepresentation and a misunderstanding of our religion, of our varna system, ashram system, and the whole purpose of religion in the first place. That actually contributed to the decline of power. It started with Shringi, that Brahmana who cursed Parishit Maharaj. So there began the downfall of the Brahmanas. Rakshasaha kalimashritya jayante brahma yonishu utpanna brahmana kule badhante shrotrayan krishan. So Rakshasas actually in Kali Yuga they take birth in Brahmin families and they actually harass the real Brahminical culture. and bring about the downfall of the entire civilization. Vedas is the knowledge of divine, and Upanishads are Gyan Kanda of Veda is very important to study Shruti scriptures. Well, you cannot understand any Shruti or Smriti without Guru. So that is even more important. And actually, you cannot understand Shruti scriptures without Smriti. There is also a verse is there like that in the shloka. Nimanita Prabhu quoted that in the thing. So Smritis are very important. Shankaracharya, in a manipulative way, he tried to, discount the importance of Smriti Shastra. But Smriti Shastra is as important as Shruti Shastra. In fact, even more important. That shloka says it's even more important than Shruti Shastra because it clarifies the message even much more clearly. You study the message, the Rig Veda or any Vedas, and you study Bhagavatam, which is more clear. Bhagavatam is way more clear. Vedas are not so clear. So it can be interpreted in myriad ways. So that is not possible in Bhagavatam. It's very, very clear, succinct, and to the point. There's no scope. That's why Shankaracharya did not dare interpret Bhagavatam because there was no room for interpretation. It had to be. Of course, some of his foolish followers started to interpret Bhagavatam, but Shankaracharya himself did not attempt. Why people outside ISKCON doesn't know anything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Is he only God for ISKCON people? One has to be fortunate to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. God for ISKCON people. What kind of question is that? So, God cannot be God for a section of people. That's not God. God means Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether one accepts him or not, he's God. It doesn't depend on popular opinion, vox populi. No. Next, there is enough evidence given in Chaitanya Charitamrita from Shastras proving that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's how we should determine whether somebody is an incarnation or not. Not simply put the picture on the altar immediately when somebody says he is in God. That's why they put Vivekananda's picture, Sai Baba's picture, everybody's picture comes into the altar. Just because, he's well known doesn't make him God. Shastras should support. Every incarnation is supported by Shastra, even Kalki, who was yet to come. He's also already mentioned in Shastra. His father's name is mentioned, his village of birth is mentioned. Buddha was mentioned way before he came. Hmm? So Islam, Muhammad was mentioned in Bhavishya Puran. All these things are already mentioned. What will happen in Kali Yuga? In fact, the land of Kashmir and all this, will be taken over by Mlechas. All these are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So we have to refer to the Shastras to see what is correct and what is wrong. Who is God and who is not. You see here, in this verse I'm showing on the screen, they don't know what is religion, what is not, what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is truth, what is untruth, what is a common man, what is a great man, great soul. They don't know all these things. We should promote Upanishad 6 darshans to get a deeper vision of Sanatana Dharma. No, we will not get. By reading Bhagavatam, we will actually get Akhila Shruti Saram. By Bhagavatam, we will get the Saram of entire Vedic literature. We will not get otherwise. I will challenge. Balance of science, technology, and spirituality can give us hope for better society. See, spirituality is not devoid of science. Don't mistake. Modern science is actually, although it looks like a blessing, it's not. Because we are just using whatever is there, facility to do our work. But if this facility was not there, it would have been much more effective to do our work. Now we are doing some, videos now, live streams and all that. But let's say this video, this whole platform is not there. This whole social media distraction is not there, and all these movies and all is not there. Only devotees were there in every part of the world. I mean, they don't have to be distracted by so many things, so many videos, and then one of the videos is this live stream. No, all that clutter will go. We can focus more seriously on Krishna consciousness. See? So, we're not against whatever is modern technological advancement, but all should be done in the service of Krishna consciousness, not otherwise. Okay, you're saying but Vivekananda, great person, you should read his teachings. I will not. I already know. I have read his books. Okay, he's not a preacher of Vedanta. In fact, he asked the question that is Vyasa a madman? That is there in his letter. Is Vyasa a madman? See, that's why we don't have to read any other's teachings. Please try to understand. I'm not actually attacking you. I'm not attacking you. I'm just objectively telling what is the fact. You should read Bhagavad Gita, and especially by a devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Because Bhakto Same Sakha Cheti Rahasyam Hetu Uttamam. Even if you read other translations of Bhagavad Gita, you will not get the proper understanding. You have to understand it from a devotee, and because Krishna himself ordains that. Then, once you read Bhagavad Gita, then you will be in a position to judge any other uh, person or a book or anything. Without that, you will have a clouded vision. You think he's actually advancing the purpose of Vedanta. He's not, and I can debate this very extensively. But this is not the time for that. I have no time. I have other things to do still, and this is not the right platform. So anyway, um, okay, impersonal Brahman is not light according to Vedanta. Brahman is pure consciousness. Both. It is both. Brahma Jyoti, it is there, the unending light, and also Brahman, the all pervading consciousness. Now, in my body, consciousness is all pervading. You pinch any part of my body, I will feel the pain. But the soul is sitting in the heart. Now, although the soul is localized, sitting in the heart, its influence is felt all over the body. So similarly, Brahman, supreme consciousness, the Lord is conscious of everything, but the Lord is a person. That you have to understand. Anyway, this is the whole thing. You can read our books, then you will have a much more holistic understanding of this whole philosophy. You should read. You should not limit yourself to Advaita philosophy because you are missing out on a lot. In fact, you're missing out on almost everything that our scriptures have to offer if you just limit yourself to Advaita understanding. Advaita understanding is a very partial understanding, very rudimentary understanding of the absolute truth. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shabdate. Those who reach Bhagavan level, those who understand the person, God, personality of Krishna, he understands all three aspects of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But if you only limit yourself to Brahman, you cannot understand Paramatma and Bhagavan. You cannot understand. Can we worship the people tree? Yes, it is one of the holy trees and it is to be worshipped actually, even by Vaishnavas. But it is not strongly recommended by our Acharya. So of course, we respect, you know, um, but it is not a very significant portion of a significant aspect of our listing. This Saguna and Nirguna Brahman, you are saying, they have a very twisted understanding of Saguna Brahman. They think the deities are Saguna Brahman, and eventually through the deities you will come to the point of Nirgun Brahman. And the example is given of that of an envelope which contains the letter. So until it reaches the destination, the envelope is important. The letter inside is not so important. Even if nothing is there inside the envelope will go. To go there, the envelope is important. But after it reaches there, the envelope is not important. It is the first thing that is discarded. The letter inside becomes important. So they say the impersonal idea is that this Saguna Brahman is a way towards Nirgun Brahman. The deity worship, yes, should be done, but it is a interim process which will eventually take us to the Nirgun Brahman, after which we don't need this deity worship anymore. If it is all Nirguna. So that is wrong understanding. Okay. The deity is as is non-different from the Lord. Not that Nirgun Brahman is the ultimate. No. That's completely wrong understanding. Animal sacrifice are there mentioned in Vedas. Yeah. That is for tamasic people. So, oh, your argument is that animal sacrifice is mentioned in Vedas and therefore Vivekananda, if he eats it, is okay. Come on, that is for tamasic people to elevate themselves. You know why animal sacrifice is mentioned? Because it is to restrict the people from unlimitedly wanton killing of animals. Okay, you kill only once a month on the Amavasa day, goat in front of Kali, and that's how you do it. So it is to restrict the unrestricted animal killers, to reduce their suffering. And also, when you are killing, you have to say that Mam Saha Khadati iti Mamsa. So now I'm killing you, so you have the right to kill me and eat me in your next life. So I'm agreeing to those terms and conditions, and there I'm killing. So it is very different. So it is not that, oh, because it is sanctioned in Vedas, it is all okay. No, it is not okay. For a acharya, for a guru, for a preacher of Vedanta, absolutely not okay. That is for tamasic people who are antyajas, chandala, mlecha. They those kind of people are doing those. It is for them to slowly elevate themselves to from fifth class to fourth class, like that to come. But not for a preacher of Sanatana Dharma. No, that's not allowed. Vaishnava should be completely devoid. Even a Mayavadi, I mean, Advaitavadi, he won't eat meat. How can you? I mean, not Vivekananda only allowed it. He actually ate meat. He ate meat. His chanting of her Mahamantra more powerful in Kali Yuga than rest of the yugas. No, it is always powerful. It is more important because it is the only way in the Kali Yuga. Hmm. You are saying it is a debatable topic. It is not. You do not know. That's why you do not know the understanding of Vedanta. Vedanta is meant for elevating all kinds of people. Think of it like a mountain. Now, some people are at the base of the mountain, some people are at the top. So, the rules that are there for the people at the base is not the rules that are meant for the people at the top. Hmm. Just because Vedas allow for meat eating animal sacrifice, it's not that the Vaishnavas should eat animals. No. Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yoye Bhaktya Prayachati, and offer me food in the vegetarian category. So, that is a much higher principle. So for those who cannot follow that, who are wantonly killing, okay, don't wantonly kill, don't eat every single day. Just on Amavasya, you eat little bit. That is a sacrifice. Sacrificing their tendency to eat every single day. Okay? And eventually, and I also say they must say this mantra that, I'm killing, so you have the right to kill me in your next life. So the whole point is to make him realize, hey, why am I doing this? I'm actually harming myself by doing this. I should stop this. Just like cigarette is injurious to health, but it is sold and the tax is high, tobacco tax, and so you have to pay a higher amount of money, waste a lot of money, and before you can open the packet has smoking is injurious to health, and in Singapore there is also pictures of the diseases that you get, brain tumor or cancer or this and that, all these things. So the whole point is to discourage you to do it from doing it. But if you still want to be stupid enough to do it, then you can do it. Pay the high price, see all the warnings, and still be stupid enough to smoke. You can do it. So that is the same point in Vedas also. So people who are allowed, when there is allowance of such sacrifice, it is for those stupid people to slowly. We're not telling them stupid just to denigrate them. No, actually foolish. They're actually foolish. But we have to elevate them. We have to make them not foolish. How to not make them? How to make them elevate? If you say that don't eat meat, they may not listen. Okay, you eat meat, but you do it this way. Okay, I'll follow something. So in that way, at least he's following the Vedic principle. After many lifetimes of such thing, maybe he will come to the next higher position, next higher. And after many lifetimes, he'll get purified and come to the Vaishnava platform. But of course, if he can be transformed straight away by a devotee, like Mrigari Hunter was purified by Narad Muni, he immediately became Vaishnava. So that is the whole point. The whole point is to let everybody climb this mountain and reach the top at the summit. That is the whole point. And that's why there are different instructions in different scriptures in our own Vedas. It's meant for tamasic, rajasic, sattvic people, and then those who are above sattvic, Shuddha Sattva, those are Vaishnavas. So instructions at each levels are different. You should not misunderstand that, oh, it's all debatable. No, it's not. Nothing is debatable. It is only debatable when you do not have a proper guru to guide you, to tell you what is actually the real purpose of all these things. You should understand that. Shreya Sharma, if you are not able to wear sari and tilak at work, will it be considered as disobeying the spiritual master? No, but did you try? Did you try wearing tilak, putting on tilak and wearing sari? Or are you just assuming that they will not allow you? If you stand for it and fight for it, maybe they will allow you. Not exactly fight for it like a protest or something. Just say this is my religion. I mean, this is our culture. Why can't they wear? So if they can, if they will allow you, why not? And honestly, going to work is a paradox there, because ideally that's not the way. But even if you are working, try to wear. First of all, try. And even if there is resistance, don't immediately give up. Oh, they said don't wear. Okay, I'll not wear. No, no. Say it to them. I mean, burqas they're wearing, hijab. Big issue in India, right? Hijab, hijab. So you also say, I want to wear my sari. Why not? Will I be less productive in a sari? I don't think so. But I want to. This is my culture. I want to wear. So, and this is my, tilak. Why not? Even here, some devotees go into their offices with tilak. Of course, maybe not a dhoti. That they won't allow. But at least tilak. So, we should do it as much as possible. You are saying first you should read complete works of Swami Vivekananda. No. You, sir, please read complete works of Krishna, Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar. You read. Because we are following Vedic scriptures. He is not following. He is having his own. He never commented on anything. He's just having his own philosophy with nothing to do with the Vedas. Just taking here and there from some parts of the Vedas and then making up his own thing. Yatamat Tathapat. Sorry. You should read. You should read the Vedic scriptures. You're saying don't restrict our culture within a kitchen. Hello. You don't know even what is culture first. You don't come up with this emotional whatever. You just read. We're not even actually taking a case on you. You actually read. It is for your own good. I'm telling. Anyway, I'm not going to. Um, Obviously, technology is a blessing. Depends on how we use it. For sure, I'm not saying no, but it should be a means to destroy the whole thing. What I'm saying is ajagar vritti. I don't know how long this class will go on. Ajagar vritti means a snake. He will now rats will make tunnels. Okay, snake will go into the tunnel, eat the rats, and stay in the holes. And now it becomes a snake pit. So we similarly will use their own devices to destroy their own culture and replace it with our culture. And after that, these devices will be of no use, no need, in fact. So, but in the meantime, we may use their devices against them. So now this social media or whatever is there to bewilder people, but we will use it for our own thing to save people from bewildering, how much ever is possible. So we will do that, and until to the point where eventually this is not necessary. Hmm. I have student. After studying Advaita, Dvaita, Veda, Bheda, I became a follower of Vedanta. Well, I would say you are not a follower of Vedanta actually. Veda Anta means the end of Veda, end of knowledge. Veda is sarvair ahameva vedya. Krishna is saying, I am the end of all knowledge. The quest of knowledge ends with knowing me, Krishna is saying. So you do not know him, you have not studied Vedanta. Yeah, it is. I don't deny. It is given everywhere. Yeah. But it is not for Vaishnavas. Yes, he ate beef, Vivekananda. Pork also he ate. Why do people say Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam 11, Canto and 12 are not bona fide? Some idiots. People and politicians make him great and put him in superiority complex because of him. Now in Bengal, everyone eat fish. Yeah, he says Ganga Prasad. Fish is Ganga Prasad. You see, Saurav Sahu is saying, yes, I am from Bengal. My father also followed this Ramakrishna mission. Yes, they don't restrict meat eating. They say it is nothing to do with spirituality. Vedanta means conclusion of the Vedas. Yes, sir, that's what I'm saying. The conclusion of Vedas is to know Krishna. You're not understanding. Even Krishna performed Bali, it is mentioned in Vishnu Puran. Okay, you show me. No matter what Krishna does, you have to follow what he is asking you. He lifted Govardhan hill. You can show me whatever you want, but you're not going to convince me against what we should be doing in our Krishna consciousness, in our actual life. And if you really want to follow Vedanta, Krishna never advocated for any meat eating. Okay, patram pushpam phalam toam. He clearly listed. So I don't know what you're going to show me, but nothing will really convince me. If fish is Ganga Prasad, then eat the mud. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll stop it here. Thank you very much for your time. जय श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण. What? Why are you ignoring me, sir? I'm sorry. I don't understand. What is ignoring? I answered every one of your comment. I don't know what you're saying. Okay, anyway, Hare Krishna.